everybody, this is James.
Marco.
Nabil.
And Mikey.
And this is the Movie Pals podcast number 162. We took a bit of a break. As you guys could probably tell, I was a little burned out. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So this fucking Hunger Games franchise took a lot out of me. So if you guys didn't know, we announced it in our last one a month ago. But what we are going to be doing is we are doing actually the entire Hunger Games franchise, the film franchise. Originally, we were just going to do the original 4 films, but because we delayed it out 2 more weeks, we were able to sneak in the new prequel film. So that's the franchise starting in 2012's Hunger Games all the way to the newest film, Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which just released this last week. So without further ado, let's get into our Hunger Games marathon. Let's stop here for a moment to let you all know about Newsly. Newsly is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up the most trending articles on the web on topics you choose at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time ever, the entire web becomes listenable, all in one place. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, tech, business, science, Bitcoin, or heck, even the Kardashians. Newsly will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud. They even have digital radio. Did we mention they also have podcasts from over 80 countries? Well, they do, and guess what? The Movie Pals podcast is there too. I started using Newsly as my default podcast player, and I can't think of ever going back. Download and use Newsly for free now from www.newsly.me or from the link in our description, and make sure to use our promo code TMPALS, that's TMPALS, to receive a 1-month free premium subscription. Newsly, stop scrolling and start listening. So before we start this, guys, I do want to ask you guys, what is your history with the Hunger Games? Have you read the books? Have you watched the films before? Is this a first time watch for you? Nabil?
For the record, these are based on books. I have no idea. And I'm just kidding. I've not read the books at all. Are
they a microfiche?
No, I've seen the films. I've seen them all. I believe I've seen them all in the theaters. So, yeah.
We might have seen them together, Nabil.
I'm not going to lie. Them all together as I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
I was thinking about it too. I was like, 2012?
Fun
That sounds
times.
about right. What were you, just like thinking about it going in, then, Nabil, for you specifically? What were you looking forward to rewatching these? Were you hesitant?
I hadn't seen them since we've seen them in the theater, and I have to say, I was hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to really like these films as much, or if they're. I remember some of the aspects being even a bit, I don't know, played out. I remember not feeling very great about the last couple of films at the time, so my expectations were kind of low. But I feel like going through this again, I was pleasantly surprised. Like especially watching them back to back. Yeah,
no problem.
So, yeah.
What about you, Mikey? Any history of the books, the films?
I have not read the books. I have seen all the
Jesus
films.
Christ, okay.
Multiple times. Yeah, no, I haven't seen. I've seen all the books. I've seen all the movies. I've not read the books.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them at the store, but I've been hesitant to flip through it. Yeah, okay, I got you there.
Great covers.
I rewatched these about 2 years ago or so.
Yeah, these are the picture books. Yeah, okay. No, yeah. So I know you've probably seen them too. Mikey. Yeah. So, were you anticipating the marathon at all? Were you hesitant?
I'm not a fan of this series that much. I never thought they were the greatest movies. So since I had seen them not so long ago, I wasn't really wanting to watch them again. I mean, they're not terrible movies, but I just wasn't looking forward to it.
Awesome. We're off to a great start here. Marco, what about you? Any history of the books, films? I understand the movies. I want to say, if I recall, you'd only seen the first one, right?
Actually, no, that's not correct. I'd never seen them before. Yeah, but I am very cultured. I'm very cultured, and I haven't read the books either. So, they're on my reading list, though. They're actually on my wish list.
Just to let you guys know, they're intended for children, like they're young adult novels. So, like, very easy reads. Think of a Harry Potter book.
Too tough for me.
Yeah.
Nope.
Sorry.
I never really knew the premise of the books or anything. I've just sort of been keeping myself in the dark. So it never really interested me. It just never did.
Really?
And the trailers for these movies, I was talking about this with these guys for a little bit. they never captured me. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is so bad. I'm like, this is so cheesy.
You worked at a bookstore during this time still, or no?
Yes, I did.
Blows my fucking mind. You had no idea.
Books were recommended to me, and I was like,
blows my mind.
I was like, I'm good. I was like, is it a Stephen King book? No,
I'm good. You cannot
see if the librarian doesn't read them. I'm not going to read them. That's for sure.
Well, in all fairness, it's a young adult novel, and Marco was like 42 at the time, so
that's true. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
I know what Moby Dick is, but Hunger Games.
Yeah,
never heard.
We don't read Huckleberry Finn anymore. No, actually, fun fact: some schools actually bought these books in bulk. I sold to schools and libraries and stuff, and they bought these in bulk for their required reading. So that was so that piqued my interest. I was like, maybe I should add these to my reading list, and they've been on there ever since.
And then 2 seconds later, I said, "Nah, I'm good." So, were you looking forward to going through these, Marco, or just?
Kind of, not really. But then my son Zan, he likes the movies, and he was like, "We should watch them." And I was like, "All right, I'll check them out. Why not?" Cool. And I knew that we were gonna start doing this, so we watched the first one together, and I really liked it. And I was like, "Holy shit, this movie's actually pretty good." So went from there.
Just fucking 11 years late, but I mean, hey, at least or even longer if you're a fan of the book. So I'm actually the only person then that's read the books, I guess. So there you go. I didn't read them until actually that first movie came out. So the first movie came out, and very much like when it came out for part one, and I wanted to know the rest. I didn't want to wait around. I decided to read them all. So I read all original 3 books after the first movie. So by the time the second movie came out, I'd already read all of them through. And my girlfriend bought me the prequel like a year or 2 ago, so I read that last year, and I really enjoyed that too. So yeah, going back into it, I hadn't seen it just like you, Nabil. I think it'd been quite some time since I've seen these. I saw them all in theater. So like, what was the last one? Like 2015-ish or so, like 8 years ago. So
just about
yeah. So it's been some time. I've actually always been a big fan of this series. So I like the concept of it all, and storytelling, and the acting overall. So. Let's jump into the movies. We do want to bring up one thing, though. For the original 4, it's been quite some time since these movies released. Much like our other marathons, we are going to be announcing kind of a blanket spoiler for all of those ones. Mm-hmm. So if you've not seen them, we're going to be coming in kind of hot on those 4. Because the prequel just came out this last week, that is the one where we will still have a spoiler section for you all, just to kind of just give you some time, because obviously it's new. Some of you might be watching this over the Thanksgiving break and such like that as well. So without further ado, let's jump into the first film in our marathon, The Hunger Games.
Our tributes, Peter Malark and Katniss Everdeen.
They just want a good show. That's all they want.
There's 24 of us, Gail. Only one comes out. So you're here to make me look pretty?
I'm here to help you make an impression.
And so it was decreed that each year, the 12 districts of Pan Am shall offer up in tribute one young man and woman between the ages of 12 and 18 to be trained in the art of survival and to be prepared to fight to the death.
This is the time to show them everything. Make sure they remember you.
I just keep wishing that I could think of a way to show them that they don't own me. If I'm gonna die, I want to still be me.
I just can't afford to think like that.
So The Hunger Games, sitting at an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, has a description here. Katniss Everdeen voluntarily takes her younger sister's place in The Hunger Games, a televised competition in which 2 teenagers from each of the 12 districts of Pan Am are chosen at random to fight to the death. Directed by Gary Ross, who directed Pleasantville in 1998, Seabiscuit in 2003, and Free State of Jones in 2016. Also written by Gary Ross, Suzanne Collins, and Billy Ray, who also actually most recently wrote Overlord and Richard Jewell, 2019. Based on the book by Suzanne Collins, this was released on March 23rd, 2012, with a budget of about $78 million. It made a insane amount, actually, $694 million on that budget. So a success for Lionsgate. This stars Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss Everdeen, Josh Hutcherson as Peeta Mellark, Liam Hemsworth as Gale Hawthorne, Woody Harrelson as Hamish Abernathy, Elizabeth Banks as Effie Trinket, Lenny Kravitz as Cinna. He does not have the oversized scarf in this one, just to let you know.
But he's got some tight pants.
Fuck, he does. He does. And he's proud of it.
And he keeps saying, are you going to go my way?
And he just kept calling her American Woman, just fucking playing it. It's weird. I was like, dang, he's making a lot of references to his songs.
Like, this is
Stanley Tucci as Caesar Flickerman, Donald Sutherland as President Coriolanus Snow, Wes Bentley as Seneca Crane, Willow Shields as Primrose Everdeen, and Paula Malcolmson as Mrs. Everdeen, Primrose and Katniss's mother. So let's jump right into it here. I'm going to start with you, Bill. What did you think of The Hunger Games? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Just a brief little thought on it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I was surprised at how much I liked it. The quality is really good. The story was really compelling. I felt very vested with the characters. The film is just well shot as well. There's just maybe seeing it in 4K on a smaller screen than I did before. Seeing it
relax, buddy. Relax.
Looking really nice. Very crisp.
Now Nabil's the guy just setting up for the alley oops. You guys see this shit?
No, I really enjoyed
it. If you're poor, you don't have to figure it out. I don't know. Might live less. I don't know.
Upgrade.
You got your DVD copy. You got your DVD copy.
Upgrade to that, UHD.
I will. Yeah, Nabil, that's actually a good point to bring up. It actually does look really good for some reason.
Yeah.
For a movie that's, 14 years old, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
And we've seen some of those films.
I don't know how to do math. No, not
around that time.
11 years. Jesus, I said it earlier. Good God. What's that?
Around that time, for films that old, there's not a lot of films that around this year that still look this good, on a rewatch in 4K, because everything's been kind of up converted or whatever sometimes. But this is a very good looking film, and especially for the whole muted tones, I enjoyed a lot of it.
Nice. What about you, Mikey? What did you think of The Hunger Games?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good film. I like the characters. The characters, I think, are what kind of drives it. It is kind of a muted tone throughout. It is almost like an apocalypse movie, right? That's like, down in the future a little bit. So, I mean, it kind of brings that tone to you. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I actually originally, they don't actually bring it up too much. Like, they're in America. Like, you guys understand this, right? Like, it's not very apparent in the books or in the movies until, I don't think they actually ever bring it up in the movies. Like, hey, like, this is Colorado or some shit. The district's in the Rocky Mountains. It's above the land or some shit, but it's not, only in the books does it mention it near the end. Like, you realize, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So technically it is a post-apocalyptic place, though.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, the characters are good. I think it fails a little bit on some of the characters, and I'm sure we'll talk about characters here in a little bit here. But overall, I thought it was a really good movie. I like the tone they set. Story was pretty good, and like Nabil said, I was pretty vested into some of the characters, so I liked it.
What about you, Marco? Our first-time viewer here of the Hunger Games from 2012. Sorry, I got to keep just bringing that up. 11 years ago.
Yeah. I went in with not necessarily low expectations, but I just went in with an open mind, and I really liked it. Yeah, I agree with what these guys said. Tone's great. Yeah, it really does make you feel like you're viewing this apocalypse through the eyes of these characters. I do like the themes that they bring up. I think they're quite relevant. I think that this movie is actually quite a bit ahead of its decade, if I can say so. And it really makes you, not all the characters, but yeah, kind of what these guys said. You care about some of these characters. You learn to feel sus about some of these other characters and feel confused. And I sort of talked about that briefly with these guys, but the characters are written very human-like. And I know that sounds weird to say, but they're not. They're like your everyday people that, make mistakes. They're imperfect characters, so to speak.
Yeah, they're not dogs. They didn't write them like dogs. Like, what the fuck?
They're not animated. They're real people.
Peter was less giraffe than I remember this time around.
Yeah.
I'm a real boy.
I thought I was watching a different version of The Lion King. No, you really feel like the humanity of these characters, and some of the actions, some of the decisions, although questionable, you're like, well, a real person might actually really do that. So that checks out. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoy this one still. I got to say, this is still a very solid start to the franchise. I think really with Mikey there, it's really the characters that move these ones. I think Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson do a really good job here. Woody Harrelson, everybody, all-star cast, really. It's crazy they got all these people for this, but they casted this movie very well, which is smart because knowing that they were going to do a couple of them, that makes sense. I do agree with Nabil. It does look good. There are some things that still look a little dated. Some of the CG is not, quite up there. But yeah, overall though, it's a solid movie. I like it. The themes of it, about the people fighting back against it's a little Star Wars, I guess. A little the evil empire and fucking just how greed and the little guy can come back and turn the tide against things. I like that kind of David versus Goliath kind of story too, I guess. So speaking of cast, then I'll go back to you, Mikey. Who like Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, anybody else you want to talk about too? Who stood out for you then the most? And then you said some people didn't play out for you. Who didn't play out for you?
Yeah, well, I think the two you just mentioned really kind of stick out. They're like the main characters. They drive the movie. And the other characters, I mean, the other characters, I feel like you just don't get a lot of them. Like Haymitch, for instance. I mean, he's like doing a bunch of stuff in the background, but you don't really get to see a lot of it. There's like just snippets of what he does to help them out, and while they're in the games. And like Senna and all them, you get like snippets of them, but you never actually get like a flesh out character for those people. So I feel like they missed some of those other people. Even like Flickerman, like you get a lot more in the new movie than you did in these old ones, even. So
really,
I
felt like they're just really just side characters. They're not very. I thought,
yeah, but that's the thing. I feel like everybody's a side character except for those two people.
See, but once again, I mean, coming off somebody that has read the books, they're exactly shown just as much as they're in the books, I guess. So that's why I'm like, it's fine, I guess, to me.
Well, I would want more in the book then too. So I mean, to me, they could have done more with some of their characters, and I think this is over for me personally. At least this is how every movie is kind of handled. They have a few people they kind of invest in, and the rest of the characters are kind of just kind of lightly touched on and kind of give you a little bit. But the characters they do let shine are really well done. So I think that's kind of what I feel like on most of these movies, actually.
What do you think about that, Marco?
I was going to say, Mikey's definitely not reading the books now.
Yeah.
He's like, that's how it is in the books?
I was like,
out,
Mikey,
bro.
once again, it's a young adult novel. Like,
there's no pictures? There's no characters? What is this? No,
if there's no fucking appendix in the back, I ain't reading it.
I disagree a little bit with Mikey. I feel like this, kind of like you said, James, this is an introductory, so it's meant to focus primarily on like the main two characters, which in this case is Katniss and Peeta, and sort of sprinkle everyone else around and say, hey, these are characters, this is who they are, and we're gonna bring them up more in like the next few movies, type of thing.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah,
and I think because they casted who they casted for the actors, like Woody Harrelson, Stanley Tucci, it kind of does make them stand out a little bit, and you do. It's not like you care about them, but you do kind of like them because of the actor associated with them.
Right, but I feel like that's kind of why I didn't like this whole series is I feel like they took everything that people already had in the books and they started making movies based on the whole story that they have these 3 books instead of just taking one book at a time and knowing that that's all people are going to know. So like if you look at the 4 movies as a whole, I like all the characters and I like what they did. But if you look at just this one movie, I don't like everything they did with it. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
That makes sense.
I know what you say, but I totally disagree with you, Mikey.
Okay.
Just to let you know.
Well,
I think the characters are actually really fleshed out for an intro movie. Like they are broken out in a great way. Overall, the story, if you're looking at a story overall, the overall story it's Katniss is the main character. So the whole books are told in her point of view. So she's not going to know the history of other people without the narration telling it somehow. But it's all told from her perspective, much like Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is told by it's all from Snow's perspective. So that's why you only know certain things from his perspective. So in that terms, I think if you're looking at that as a book, it actually does a really good job because you only see things technically through Katniss's eyes. So
I just got a text from James, and he just bought you the books on Amazon, Mikey.
No, we have local libraries, Michael. You can go down there, support our local librarians. What are you talking about, you son of a bitch? No, but I mean, I see what you're talking about, though, Mike. You just, I don't agree with you, but I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but you're wrong. So, anyways, Nabil, what about you? No, I'm just kidding. Nabil, did you like Stanley Tucci?
I actually did like Stanley. I think Stanley Tucci was one of the bigger standouts as far as like side characters.
I really like Stanley Tucci in just about anything he's in, to tell you the truth.
I mean, when he goes for it, he's there. Like he goes full-fledged, whatever this Caesar Flickerman's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because I was into it. Like with the interviews, I was enthralled with.
You can tell he's having a lot of fun.
Conversation. He's enjoying it. It's the same thing with actually Elizabeth Banks too. I liked her like portrayal of Effie, but I didn't. That's part of one of the weaknesses as far as characters that I felt like in this movie specifically was for her, that we just didn't like. I didn't know what she was, what her. I don't even want to see what side she was on, because it was more like you have Haymitch and her together, and you can kind of understand Haymitch's perspective on being a survivor and then like not wanting to do anything like this, and he's just a drunkard. But then you have like Effie, who's just trying to, I don't know, like make them stars, I guess, and try to bring them up.
She represents
what is she doing here?
Your average citizen of the capital, and that just the disconnect between them and the rest of the people of the district.
I feel like I get a better feeling of her after, like when you go into the third and fourth film. Like, okay, I kind of see
supports
where
Mikey's opinion on it as well.
Yeah, and that's.
So I wasn't wrong.
I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater, Mikey.
You agree with Mikey to an extent of like I felt more connection watching these back to back than I did watching them and waiting a year or something like that. I will say though, we didn't really talk about him much, and I know we don't get too much screen time with him, but I really like Donald Sutherland as Coriolanus Snow. Like,
I do too.
He portrayed him really well. He comes off as a man who knows what's going to happen, but is trying to let the people around him do what they feel is right while also warning them. But he kind of is predicting, like he knows how the people are going to react. He knows that.
Very smart guy.
Like Peeta and Katniss, this whole love story thing is going to be what it is, but he's worried if it's going to give him too. Like he's like playing this chess game and is aware, but he's just kind of letting it play out. But also is hesitant that it's going to go too far. And he is right. Like through the end of the film, he's been right the whole time, but he just kind of against his better judgment, let the people around him do what they felt was better, you know, but always questions. So I really like that portrayal.
I agree. It comes off, he's like a very like sophisticated, but like super fucking evil guy. And it's like when he executes Order 66, it was wild, dude. I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't believe it, dude.
Execute Order 66.
Wipe them out. All of them.
I will make it legal. He's very convincing is the thing. And that's the danger of him. Just like Palpatine, actually. He's a smooth fucking talker. And
they both have white hair too, actually, at one point. You guys think about that?
That's crazy.
Exactly. Slicked back too. Look at that.
They both are questionably aged. Nobody knows how old they really are.
Dressed very fucking lavishly. Like Liberace.
Very true. And you learn a little bit more why he dresses like that too, in a way. Just later on. I forgot Wes Bentley was in this fucking movie, by the way.
As Seneca Crane, yeah.
With that fucking beard. I remember that even back then. I was like, what a beard.
That's such a trippy beard.
What an Iron Man-esque what an Iron Man-esque fucking beard, right? With the little fucking design on it. Oh my god.
He's like, no, I'm Tony Lark. What are you talking about?
He's like, I like blueberries. Wait a minute, these are poison. Shit. Let's jump to the games here, guys, because I want to move it on. Anything shock you about like plot, even just plot-wise, guys, that stood out for you? Any of the deaths, plot points, anything like that, or just like I said, like how the games played out? Marco?
Just their willingness to kill people.
Oh, the kids?
Like most movies. Yeah, I was like,
they really liked it. By the way, when I saw that, I said, "Oh, that child was 6."
Yeah, I was like, damn. All right, have some teeth, man, and show the realities of this world. Don't hold back.
What about
We
you,
can
Mikey? Anything stand out?
Kind of the same thing. I kind of wish we saw a little bit more with Katniss and Peeta. I mean, you see like their love story kind of building, and you do see more of it obviously later on as well. But I kind of just wish that I believed Katniss a little bit more in those scenes. But other than that, the deaths, like you guys said, I mean, that's obviously the most shocking thing that can happen. So
yeah, what do you think about the love, the romance between Katniss and Peeta, Nabil? Just starting it out for like in this one at least.
Yeah, I'm glad that they kind of set it up at the beginning of like, this is what our plan is. We want the people to believe that we're in love, but
yeah, because they're faking it, basically.
Yeah, they're faking it. But to me, like Katniss, I don't know what people saw in her because she wasn't selling it. Like,
oh, okay. I was I can probably point out a few things he saw her.
Yeah. She wasn't selling the relationship to me, man. So I was like, Peeta was doing it all, but Katniss, I just don't see like why people believe that.
But she's like the cold type, and they're like, oh, Peeta must be like the love type, and they're like, they're really total opposites of each other, so it kind of works. So, and he threw that fucking burnt ass bread, and then I mean, you get it, man. Yeah. Sometimes people just catch your feelings and shit. You feel me? Like,
yep.
Yeah. There's only one of him.
They subvert the usual tropes of those characters. It's usually like the male that's
like a perfect couple,
standoffish, and she's the one that's after love. So I kind of like that. But Nabil, I kind of see that as they were like, it was to make it evident to us that she wasn't really like into this whole acting thing, or show us what she was really thinking.
It reminds me of like, you guys have seen Speed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a weird reference, right? But like, remember they bring up like, like people that are in like these drastic like fucking events usually will fall in love, but it doesn't really last. I always think of it that kind of for this one. Like, they're in such a fucking crazy thing that they're like, hey, we can die any minute. They're like, might as well, right? So I mean, like,
well, I mean, to your point too, like we're talking about, he's Peeta. It's supposed to be Peeta and Katniss, but no one's talking about Gale in this pod yet. Because like no one really believed that shit. I'm like, okay, she's supposed to love this guy, but
even early on, I'm not trying to be a hater, but even early on, when I was fucking 11 years ago, I was like, man, Gale's a little bitch, man.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I felt about it too. I was like, nah, bro. So
he's the guy that tries. He's the try hard, bro. I was like,
dude,
too much,
yes. So. I straight up forgot about that dude after seeing. I was like, fuck this guy, man.
Dude, I was like, Peeta disguised himself as a rock creature, cuz. I was like, Gale don't got a fucking like an ounce of fucking imagination in his body. I was like, no, that ain't the guy girls go for. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I was fucking dying that scene. I don't know why it made me think of James, but it did.
There's hella memes of that, by the way. Just so you know. I love how Peeta's I was like, how long did he fucking have to do that, dude? Motherfucker became like a chameleon. I was like, what?
He had to have like pissed himself, right? Because I mean, he was moving.
Like, I know, Mikey, you've heard our episodes, past ones before you joined, but that would be like the James vehicle for some reason. I don't know why.
It fucking would. He's just got fucking grass in his hair and shit.
I was like, dude, he does. Dude, once again, I was just slamming on Marvel shit. I was like, that's better CG than the Marvel shit. I'm gonna hire Peeta Mellark to do the next fucking movie.
Oh man,
I do want to bring up, kind of shocking that, like, once again, I forgot that kids are just getting killed in this fucking thing too. I know it's literally the Hunger Games. There can only be 2 people, but like the fact that how like Rue dies, for instance, is like pretty devastating.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I was like, Jesus, man, I forgot. Like, and it was what fucking was that Jack Quaid that killed her?
Yeah,
God damn.
The spear.
Yeah, Jack Quaid, just background character in this one, but he's talked about being in this movie. It's funny as fuck, by the way. And like Jack Quaid has gotten quite more famous, obviously, with The Boys and Scream and shit. So it's just funny that he's like in this and technically in a flashback in the next one. So it's like, whoa, what the fuck, Jack Quaid throwing spears? So that was kind of weird. But what's your guys' thoughts on the end then? How Katniss and Peeta basically are gonna kill themselves, but then because they're tricked into saying, oh, there could be 2 winners this year, but then Snow's just trying to play him out to just get this fucking shit going. But then when he realizes that they've kind of thwarted his plans, he's like, I guess I'll allow it for now. What did you guys think about overall that and just kind of the ending, Marco?
I liked it. It was like a standoff between the powers that be and them. Like it's a stalemate basically, because neither side wins or loses, but they survive, and I kind of like that. Like, because there was no way out of it, and they thought, well, we'll catch their attention this way. Fuck it. And then the state was like, hey, we can't have these guys have one on us. Fuck that. Let's fucking roll with it and make it look like it was our idea. So I like that. Obviously there was going to be sequels, but I was curious how this would play into their plans.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Mikey? What'd you think of the ending?
Yeah, I kind of echo what Marco said. It's like, 2 craftsmanships of minds going together, and she just outsmarted them basically. It keeps you kind of curious on what's going to happen if another movie comes up here, and it does a good job. This is, in my opinion, and the last one obviously here, but it's the only one that kind of wraps up in a good way. The other one's kind of just
I think it's still, like Marco said, a bit bittersweet, but. God,
but it does actually have an ending though, right? So it's like I kind of like that here, but it just leaves it open for an alternate one, which obviously happened. So
yeah,
no, I liked it though. I thought it was good.
Man, President Snow just getting screwed over by these Mockingjays. Always.
It also puts the stakes on like the gamesmen too, right? Like if they don't do a good game, they just fucking die. So
that's
right.
Yeah, next movie.
Yeah, Snow definitely takes it out on him. He was like, hey, I left you a little gift.
Make sure you eat all them berries. Yeah. So last thing I do want to bring up is like, it is kind of funny how like that beehive just kills the shit out of somebody. By the way, those wasps, or what are those? The hornets. Yeah, and they kind of come back later in a way, kind of like a little hint at like what they can do. And
that's actually one of my favorite scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. So like PETA, you always think he's like about to betray her and stuff, but he's really just he's lost in the sauce, if you know what I mean, boy. So he's just like, I gotta protect my boo.
I understand.
I get it, man. Shit, I get it. So let's get a star rating for this one, guys. And would you recommend it? Would you not recommend it? And also with your rating, I want you to tell me quick best thing, a quick worst thing. Nabil, start with you. I know that's a lot to throw at you. So.
I give 4 stars. I definitely would recommend watching this film again. The best thing is the characters, you really do get invested in them. So I haven't read the books, but as an adaptation, I've imagined that this is really good, the connection with the characters comparatively. Worst thing, I'd say that some of the side characters you don't get to spend enough time with. So, yeah.
I know you wanted more Cinna. We all did. Mikey, what about you?
So I gave this one 3.5 stars. I would definitely recommend watching this one though. This is my favorite one out of all of them so far. And as far as the best thing about this movie, the characters, we kind of talked about that a lot already. The worst thing, I will say, just to be a little different than Nabil, the portrayal of the love triangle, I guess, that they're trying to portray or hinted at.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah. Marco, what about you?
I give this one 4 stars and would definitely recommend it. I would say the best thing about this movie is the themes that it touches on, as well as the risks it takes with the level of violence. Because I'm not promoting violence. It's just that it's willing to show the realities of this world, and you'd be surprised how many movies hold back. I'd say the worst part is probably not really expanding more on what the state of the world is in this. It just shows you, just it scratches the surface, but I feel like the other movies show a little bit more.
Nice. Yeah, I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. I'd highly recommend checking it out, especially if you've never seen it. I think the best thing too is really just the characters, just the building up of them, and I think the Hunger Games themselves are a pretty cool little sequence of events too. The worst thing is probably Jennifer Lawrence is crying. Fuck, she does not do her job. Dude, I don't think she gets good at it until like other movies. When she does her ugly cry thing, it's fucking terrible. So that's the one thing that stood out to me. I want to let you guys know. That might be the worst thing in all 4. Yeah, it might be. We'll see, though. We'll see. I'll have to think about it.
All right. And with that, let's talk about the next film, The Hunger Games: Catching Fire.
You saved us. I know that. But I can't go on acting for the cameras and then just ignoring each other in real life.
She's not who they think she is. And she has to be eliminated.
I agree, but in the right way, at the right time.
We have to go before they kill us. They will kill us.
People want to fight.
I'm staying here.
They fought very hard in the games, Miss Everdeen. But they were games. Would you like to be in a real war? Imagine thousands of your people dead. Your loved ones gone.
What do I need to do?
This is the 75th year of the Hunger Games. The tributes are to be reaped from the existing pool of victors.
I get to say goodbye.
So what do we do? I think these games are gonna be different.
The 75th Hunger Games!
Ready to work?
There she is, Katniss Everdeen, the girl on fire!
I want you guys to forget everything you think you know about the games. Last year was child's play. This year, you're dealing with all experienced killers.
Your last advice?
Stay alive.
So The Hunger Games: Catching Fire is sitting with a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. This film shows Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark becoming targets of the Capitol after their victory in the 74th Hunger Games sparks a rebellion in the districts of Panem. This is a new director by Francis Lawrence, who also did Constantine, I Am Legend, Water for Elephants, and Red Sparrow, and was written by Simon Beaufoy, who did Slumdog Millionaires and 127 Hours, Salmon Fishing, Yemen, and Everest, as well as Michael Arndt, who did Oblivion, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens as well. So based on the book by Susan Collins, and this film was released in November 22nd in 2013. This had a bit of a bigger budget of $135 million, and the box office was a smash hit of $865 million, so it did amazingly well. Comparatively, pretty much all the main characters have returned. There are some new characters that were added to the series. Philip Seymour Hoffman is introduced as Plutarch Heavensby. Sam Claflin comes in as Finnick Odair. Jenna Malone is Johanna Mason, and Jeffrey Wright is here as B.T. Latier. So, James, we're going to start with you this time. What did you think about this movie?
I think this one's my favorite one, actually. It's my favorite one of the books, too. I think it just kind of amps up everything, I think, with having the plot line of the victors, like having a special, like, you know.
Yeah, they didn't kind of do retread at all.
Best of fucking Hunger Games, I guess, you know, like, they bring it in. I like all the new characters, too. I think for, once again, knocking it straight out of the fucking park with the cast here.
Yeah,
we got the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman, you know, so he died during the filming of the last movie for this one, so it's kind of crazy that, like, he was probably just blazed out of his mind every time. I don't know. Fuck, I was telling Marco about this. I was like, I wonder if he's just fucking high the whole time.
He just thought he was filming Boogie Nights the whole time.
He was on that hair run, as my friend Sammy would say. So,
riding that black dragon.
He's right, yeah, the rainbow dragon. I don't know. Good, great fucking action. All jokes aside. I know we'll get into it, but this is one that I like a lot. The budget, you can definitely tell, amped up. I think the visuals are even better in this one, especially there's a lot of stuff featured with water in this one, and it looks fucking great. So,
yeah. And what about you, Marco? What were your thoughts on this film? Anything you stood out to you that you liked, didn't like?
I liked it. I felt it was an improvement from the first one to a point. I agree with James. The budget definitely helps. The visuals are a lot better. The stakes increase a little bit more in this one, which I like. You get a little bit more world building on this and see a little bit more of how Panem functions and how they're evil their government is. But it shows more of like the what is called like the banality of evil. How like evil hides within normalcy, and you see just like how normal like everyone sees these occurrences happening. It's like, you know, it's just a game to them, and these are just, you know, celebrities to them. And everyone in the Capitol, you know, just really doesn't give a shit. They just like, yeah, let's keep going. They're okay with the status quo, and I liked how this movie built on that.
Yeah. And Mikey, I imagine you're going to have a different take here. So, what was your thoughts on this particular film?
Trash.
I echo a lot of what they said here. I mean, you can't tell the budget's a little bit better on this one here, and they did just take all the themes and everything they did in the first one and amp it up. So I know I can kind of see what they're saying here. I didn't like the way they wrapped this one up because they just something happens and they just like cut it off, and it's just like a whole Lord of the Rings. You know, hey, we're gonna continue.
To be continued.
Yeah, so I didn't really like that aspect of things.
You must not be a fan of the Two Towers, Empire Strikes Back.
I want movies to end if they're not called part one.
You guys said it.
Part two.
Guys, just Empire Strikes Back, Two Towers, trash. Compared, Mikey's just saying trash.
Yeah, they're garbage.
Garbage. He said those little hobbits can go fucking off themselves.
Dude, I lightweight agree with Mikey on this. That is probably my biggest qualm with this movie is how it ends.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I liked it.
You liked the way it ended?
Yeah, I love a good cliffhanger ending. A lot of movies do that.
No, I hate them. I hate it on TV.
I will say,
in movies.
to your point here, though, Mikey, they do intentionally let you know that this is like. I remember James, if you recall, like after you stay at the end of the credits, they do the whole Mockingjay token changing and everything. Like that was their hype creating. Like they knew that they were making a sequel, and so that was part of the whole thing. Like they were building up the hype for it. So I mean, that was the intent.
After the success of the first one, that knowing that there's 3 out there, we're going to definitely make.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mikey, but I think what Mikey is saying is just the way it was filmed, the way that ending was filmed. It's like
it's like the ending's 5 minutes long. Right?
Yeah, like, James mentioned Empire Strikes Back, but they let that ending breathe a little bit, you know. And
I will say,
it just felt like
it's a better comparison. The Two Towers cuts off exactly like it. Then, if that's what you're talking about,
I'm just saying it's like she breaks the big dome. And then they pick her up on a helicopter, and then they have like 5 lines of dialogue, and the movie ends. Like that's not enough for me to like finish a movie. I wanted a clean ending that could have been a lot better, in my opinion.
Okay, it's fair. All right, and I actually thought this story was I'm more on the side of James. Like it was just a much more punch up of everything in the last film. Like there's just. I actually like the fact that they didn't retread everything. It was the same stuff, but better, amped up. There was reasoning behind it. Snow was like, "Fuck these guys. We're gonna just show them who's boss and get all these, the victors back into the ring and like really hype this up and tell these people that no, you can't rebel against us. If you think so, this is what can happen. Nobody's immune." Like this whole story, I think it was a very good way to retread on old ground while making it feel super fresh and still move the plot forward. I can see your point about the ending, but I guess kind of already knowing going into it that they intended to do the sequel. I don't think we knew at the time if it was going to be a part 1 or part 2. I could be wrong.
I don't know if it was. I don't remember that either. Because I remember they did it because of Harry Potter, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it was because of Harry Potter they split it. But I knew that we knew there was going to be there. So though I see what you're saying about like it kind of ending abruptly. I also. I remember even like I felt kind of embarrassed watching it the second time and going through the end of the film because it reminded me of the hype I felt at the end of it. It's like, oh shit, what's going to happen in the next film? When we saw it beforehand, I was looking forward. Yeah, and I was like, oh, I really want to see what's going to happen.
Bill being confused by plots to begin with probably was like, I don't know what's going on. What's going on here? What do you mean there's going to be a third one? Like, what the fuck?
Where's Peter?
They didn't show them taking them. Like, no, Bill, it happened. They were telling him, oh, fuck, I don't know if I can do this for another year.
Yeah. So I mean that was the feeling though, like the excitement of going into the next film. So that's where I kind of came with it. But so let's talk a little bit about the plot itself and what's different. So I will go back to you, Mikey. How do you feel overall about this movie's plot compared to what we saw, in the first film? Do you think it was more of the same? Do you think that it was a better film, or how did you feel that they did here?
Well, yeah, like you guys have been saying, they really did amp it up. I mean, just talking about like the overall, like just the arena itself, like it was 10 times more complex than the previous arena they were doing the Hunger Games in. And then on that, they amped up the characters. Like you get like more interesting characters. I feel like in this one, like some of the people come back, but like Beatty and some of the characters, they're a little bit more complex, right? They have a little bit of their own little skills. They're all survivors from these games, and they have these special skills, and things get unraveled as you go. So just I feel like everything is just amped up, like you guys were saying, from the other stuff, and I really did enjoy that part.
Yeah. I mean, I like me some Finnick. I didn't know I did until I saw him. I was like,
oh, dude, I was going to say the same thing.
Finnick.
Dude, Sam Claflin should get more roles, dude. That guy has such fucking bravado on screen, man.
Agreed.
I know. Total side note. I don't know.
No, speak more to it. So, what did you think about this film?
Smile in his eyes,
and the new characters in here, James.
James got feelings.
I mean, I got caught up like PETA and fucking Katniss up in this bitch.
Johanna, PETA in the elevator. What's going on here, guys?
Yeah, it was weird. It's cool because like Finnick comes off as kind of like a dick, right? And you're like, fuck, he's gonna be one of those guys. But then you soon realize throughout the film, like Finnick's actually only doing this because he's protecting somebody, and like he's like a really good guy, which is really good to find out. Like he saves PETA's life when Jennifer Lawrence is ugly crying again, and like.
Trying to?
He's not that. I don't know, man. He's just really charismatic. He fucking saves him a couple times. There's times where people are trying to. I think he kills the Raphael guy, or Jack Reacher dude, whatever his fucking name is.
Mm-hmm.
That's randomly in this movie too. Yeah, whatever his fucking. Yeah. Sorry, Dove or what was it?
Tank.
Fucking Hawk, right?
The tank. Yeah.
Hawk, yeah.
Fucking Hawk's in this bitch. I'm like, what the fuck is Hawk doing? I didn't even remember that. I was like, holy shit, he's got no role in this, but I get it. He's District 1 or 2, right? So.
Yeah.
I agree with Mikey though. The characters, the new one, like I said, and then even having Plutarch, then you realize like I like the whole subplot with how like the rebellion is. Oh my god, it's Star Wars, but the rebellion is like growing, and there's like people that are in the inside that are like higher up, but they're secretly doing stuff,
sabotaging.
And and I like that whole thing. So I really liked it. And once again, like I said,
were you sad about Senna? Because I was.
I was, because I kind of forgot about that part too, and I was like, I was like, oh shit, they just beat the shit out of fucking Senna right in front of her.
So you can't do that to Lenny Kravitz.
And then the ugly cry, but then it was such a beautiful shot because the aspect ratio actually changes.
Yeah.
If you saw it in IMAX originally too, it was even crazier. But like it's at a certain aspect ratio, and then as she's going up the elevator, the aspect ratio increases to the whole screen. Yeah. It's fucking fantastic cinematography. So that's all.
Yeah. And Marco, what were your thoughts on the overall plot or any of the characters? How did you feel about this film?
I like the ensemble of characters. I felt it was an evolution of the previous movie where we just really focus on 2 or 3 characters, and now because they are forced to make alliances in this special version of the Hunger Games, we can introduce more characters. And I agree, dude. Finnick is awesome. I liked even Jenna Malone's character, Joanna Mason, just mainly because I'm a Jenna Malone fan. So
okay, sure. Yeah. Sorry. Something about her dirty.
But she's a wild card, man, and you don't know what to expect from her, which is cool. It's that person in the group.
Yeah, wild card. Yeah, that's for sure, Marco.
It's a wild elevator ride, So no, but it's that character. You just don't know what to expect of them. Are they going to be cool? Are they going to betray you? And I like how even though she seemed kind of shady, like she was going to trick him in the end, she stayed, true, obviously for other reasons, but still,
yeah,
it's that's kind of how you do, subversion for movies that have done it very horribly.
I think that sequence of events of finding out who's on her side is kind of cool when you're like, oh shit,
yeah,
like you're with her,
yeah.
So.
Exactly. Plutarch, obviously, Philip Seymour Hoffman, one of the best. Rip. I know we were kind of ripping into him earlier today, but
I feel like he would have laughed with us, by the way. I don't know him personally.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Yeah, absolutely. So he adds more depth and kind of more mystery as to like what's this guy's motivations, what's going on, and explaining more about what's going on in this world as far as like the rebellion goes and how people are getting inspired by Katniss Everdeen. I kind of like that. I do like the upgrade to the arena as well, how it evolves and they figure out how it's like a clock, at every hour something something new happens, and I think that adds like a bit more to like the stakes. And I was like, oh wow, that's actually pretty interesting, because here you go into this movie thinking it's going to be like, oh, okay, they're going to survive another arena. What's the new gag that's going to happen? But it was actually pretty good and a welcoming surprise.
It also allowed some of the characters to shine too, because in the previous movie, everything was kind of brutal and like savage. And in this one, they had characters that were smart and crafty. So I feel like
all winners. That's why, like you said too, Mikey. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's good.
And I was gonna say, especially because these are all champions of the previous Hunger Games, so like they brought their A game.
Yeah, true. And it's cool to see that like some of them weren't the most like physically able of the types that won. Like for instance, BT won because he literally like electrified people. Like he's just smart, which is cool. So.
And I think too, even like talking about, we're talking about a lot of the newer characters, but even the older ones, like this is a great way of showing Snow thinking he has more control than he does. You know, he miscalculates and thinks that this is going to put people in line, not realizing that he's getting these victors of hella pissed off and they all want to rebel against him. They would have probably never wanted to do that. I this kind of pushed it across. So this is another example of the way they kind of develop these characters and show what Mikey said, or or Marco said in the beginning in the first one, like they're very human, you know, comparatively. So,
this one was less tiger than the last one. Marco just kept saying it's a spark that starts the rebellion. I said, Marco, are you quoting Star Wars Episode 8 again?
There's no Wookiees in this one.
It's the spark that starts the rebellion.
So was there anything, James, let me ask you, is there anything that you were really surprised by this film, or even like since you're the only one here that actually read the books, that you felt like was missing?
By now these are the movies where like I had already read all this stuff when I watched them, but like rewatching it now, I actually I forgot Philip Seymour Hoffman was in these movies, by the way, unfortunately.
Oh really?
I totally forgot. And watching it was like a really nice surprise. I just liked kind of revisiting the characters themselves, and I think ultimately finding out what happens at the end and kind of seeing. And I guess what's more shocking is that while I do agree with Mikey in the last movie, the romance wasn't as played out. This one kind of does show more evolution of that, which I kind of like.
Yes, agreed.
That you actually can tell that they're catching feelings for real now, boys.
Sorry. They're like, catching fire.
Oh my god! Damn, Marco, he's writing a romance fan novel, by the way, on the side. Just let you guys know. Let me smoke this dub real quick and get a little in here. So, sorry, we're getting all goofy today. I like that. Like there's this time period between the games. It's been a few months, and you can tell that Peeta and Katniss have not talked in a while and have to fake it. But then, like, you know, once again, catching feelings. Like, I get it. It happens. Then they're thrown back into this crazy event. Peeta actually volunteers. I like that scene where it's Woody Harrelson's character. Haymitch gets picked first, actually, to be the one to get back. But Peeta, you know, if somebody jumps in, then there's only 3 of them. Obviously, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's pretty obvious who's going to go, right? So I like that he's like, no, I'm going to go. So he's like, okay, here we go. So I don't know. Peeta's just a really good guy too. On top of that, so
I liked him more in this film. Like you can see the sincerity of.
I've always liked Josh Hutcherson. So
yeah, Josh Hutcherson's great. Was there anything that you felt stood out for you, or was really a surprise to you in this movie watching it for the first time?
No, just really character-wise, I agree with James. Philip Seymour Hoffman, he really just kind of stood out just because I didn't know he was in these films, and I didn't even know that these were his last films. So that kind of made me enjoy these a little bit more. I was like, oh man, we lost a real one. So
poured one out for the homie. I know.
Yeah. It just made me want to actually watch more Philip Seymour Hoffman movies too. I was like, damn, I really want to watch some Philip Seymour Hoffman movies.
Yeah. Although one last thing that did kind of stood out is when Peeta and Katniss are talking on the train and they're getting to know each other a little bit more, because that comes in handy a little later.
You're talking about the color, Marco?
Yeah. They're talking about each other's favorite color and what they wanted to do in life. And it's kind of it's a really touching scene. You can see that they're being sincere and honest with each other and opening up. I also, because I'm a fucking sap.
No, I was like, you know what? I was like, damn, Marco 101 questions here. I don't know. What kind of music you like? Shit, I don't know.
Getting real personal and shit.
I don't know. I like green too, I guess. Shit. No, you don't. Stop lying. Shit.
That's my favorite book too. I just actually
started it. It's kind of crazy, but yeah. So
did you just describe the back cover? No, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Or read covers.
Sorry, Mark. Are you saying you're a sap?
He bit his lip when he said it. That's what.
Sorry, I've just known you guys too long at this point. Where I'm like, shut the fuck up, Mark.
No, I was gonna say when when they're like don't want to leave each other in the room, because they don't trust anybody else. So
I like that too. I like that too.
Stay with me.
It just shows that their trust is growing and also their feelings to each other.
Yeah.
This is right.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the girl tells you that, you're in, baby. You're in.
You don't say no.
Yeah, you don't. If Jennifer Lawrence asks you to stay in the bed there, you take the stab. Well, I guess shit, it's not very comfortable, but
might as well take one for the team.
That big of a bed,
Sure. Okay.
I don't have my Tempur-Pedic pillow there, but it's fine. I'll be over there.
I mean, my arm's falling asleep now, but I guess. Yeah, sure.
So with that, let's rate this film, and also I'm going to start with you, Mikey, to let us know, would you recommend it, and give us something that you think is probably the best part of this movie, and what you think is the worst part of it.
Okay, well, I gave this one also a 3.5 stars. I would recommend this one as well. And best thing about this movie is just that they took everything that was good from the first one and made it even better. So I just like that here. I already talked about the worst thing. I think the ending is by far the worst thing of this movie.
Yeah,
it is really kind of the only thing that I didn't like about the movie. So,
all right. So James, let's go to you. What's your rating and best and worst?
I give it a 4 stars too. I think it's just as good as the first. Like I said, it's personally my favorite. I want to say it's maybe because of fucking Finnick and fucking goddamn Philip Seymour Hoffman, man. I don't know, man. They just hit it for me in these movies. I saw these at a weird. I think this is the year too that I graduated college, so I remember like this was a weird time for me. So I don't know. I got a lot of nostalgia for this film. So just remembering a lot of things, watching it out. Worst thing probably. The sudden ending for people doesn't work for me. It's not that big of a deal, but I think the worst thing, I don't know. There's a lot to pick on this one. Like, not a lot. I guess the ugly cry from Jennifer Lawrence. She just cannot do a cry scene. I remember even talking about this 10 years ago, dude. I'm not even joking. Like, this was a big issue. I was like, fuck, she's terrible at crying and saying
she's
stuff.
She's wailing, bro. She's
wailing. Like when Peter Jurassic Parks himself and blows up. So I was like, shit, dude. So,
Parks himself.
I mean, that's what happens when you get electrified. But
yeah, it's true.
That's, I guess, I don't know. I guess that, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. How about you, Marco? Rating, best and worst.
I actually give this one 3.5 stars. I know, shocking, right? I do like it. I do like the evolution it takes from the first one. But after finishing the entire series of movies, I downgraded my rating on this one. And best part is the camaraderie of the group in this one and the ability to work together and showing that, hey, sometimes you have to, set your differences aside and work together in order to accomplish a goal. And the weakest part is the ending, dude, the abrupt ending. I felt it could have been handled a little better, just a couple minutes more to kind of let it breathe a little bit. And you're good.
All right. So I would also give this film a 4 stars out of 5. And I recommended it. I think the best thing about this film is that everything's amped up. I love the more connections with not just the main characters, but the side characters. I feel like you get a little bit more fleshed out with them. And so there's even a deeper connection to them here than even in the first film. So I really enjoyed that. The worst part, I will have to kind of go with everybody else and say it's partly the ending, but not that it's abrupt. I feel that there's a lot that happens at the end, and this just kind of comes to a climax, like it rushes to that ending, right? There's a certain part where everything's kind of coming together to have a plan, and then there's a lot of chaos. And so I feel that maybe, there could have been a little bit of leading up to that part where she's, airlifted out of there. But otherwise, I think it was a great film.
All right, so on to number 3 here, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1.
I never wanted any of this. I never wanted to be in the games. I just wanted to save my sister and keep PETA alive.
Miss Everdeen, it's the things we love most that destroy us.
Everyone who's watching to lay down their weapons now.
You're alive.
PETA is the capital's weapon, the same way you're ours.
You will rescue PETA at the earliest opportunity, or you will find another Mockingjay.
Came out in 2014. It has a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. The synopsis here is Katniss Everdeen is in District 13 after she shatters the games forever. Under the leadership of President Coin and the advice of her trusted friends, Katniss spreads her wings as she fights to save PETA and a nation moved by her courage. This one was directed by Francis Lawrence, who did the same stuff we just talked about in the last one, and written by Peter Craig, who did The Town in 2010, Bad Boys for Life, The Batman, Top Gun Maverick, and also Danny Strong, who did The Butler, Rebel in the Rye, Empire. This is also based on a book by Suzanne Collins, released on November 21st of 2014 on a budget of $135 million, which I think is the same as the previous film. And it got a box office of $755.4 million, so also did pretty well. All the previous characters, or a lot of them, return as well as these additions. It's Julianne Moore as President Alma Coin, Steph Dawson as Annie Cresta, Mahershala Ali as Boggs, Nellie Dormer as Cressida, Eldon Henson as Pollux. And let's start things off by some brief thoughts on the film. And we'll start with Marco. What do you think of the film, and did you like it? Did you not?
I really like this one, dude. I know this one, a lot of people said it's kind of not really their favorite, but I think that this elevates the story beyond the games themselves and really focuses on like the major plot point, which is the rebellion and really trying to like overthrow this evil fascist government that, you know, hoards all the resources and lets all the freaking districts fight amongst each other and starve. So I really like that aspect of it. I think it introduces some really good characters like Julianne Moore as President Alma Coin, just mainly because Julianne Moore is, you know, great actor. Boogie Nights reunion with her and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Sorry, yeah, just had to bring it up.
That, actually,
yeah.
Damn, I didn't think about that. That's weird.
Yeah. I'm bringing it back. Mahershala Ali too as Boggs. I like Mahershala Ali. Big fan of his.
Not as well known when this movie came out, by the way.
Right?
I forgot he was in this film.
Me too. When I saw him, I said, "Oh, no way! Whose voice is that?"
Dude, for real. I was like, Blade? Oh, snap.
Blade is your movie gonna come out? Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. They might push it back again. I don't know. But I felt that the evolution of the plot is what really drew me in for this one.
I thought you were gonna be Eldon Henson is Foggy from Daredevil. But he doesn't speak in here, just like Killers of the Flower Moon doesn't say a line either in this one either. Huh?
They never give my guy a freaking speaking line. I was like, it's fucked up.
Right. How about you, Nabil? What do you think of the movie? And a little bit about it.
Yeah, I don't feel as strongly as Marco did as far as it being amped up. It's okay. It's a good film. It's a bit slow for me. I think that's the intent. They split this up in two. I don't know if they really needed to, but hey, you know, I'm sure it brought them a lot more money. The whole love triangle thing, I'm finally glad that they squashed that and got that sorted out with Gail. Like she doesn't care about him anymore. She's like, nah, bro, we get
kind of does
a little bit. She's like leaning back and forth. It ends up being more stronger in the fourth film a little bit, and she draws the one where
line. I blend the two together. Does she kiss him in this? And he's like, I can tell that is.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
this
one.
Do it.
Yeah.
Nope. Is that this is the one?
Yeah,
that's what I
I
knew
was
too,
like-
and I was like, you lost her.
I said, okay, bro. She's moved on.
I was like, game, set, and match.
When you're questioning it like that, it's like,
Yeah.
no chance,
Was I
bro.
just like, once again, I said, damn, Marco, fuck.
He tried.
Damn.
I was like, me?
You're barking up the wrong tree there, my friend.
I was like, fuck,
She's gone off to greener pastures.
Just
But yeah,
let it go.
I feel like this film, you are really setting into them trying to build this rebellion, and she's the reluctant hero, obviously. But I also feel that, there's a bit of, I don't know. I just feel indifferent about Katniss's motivation, I guess, because she's doing it for PETA and also what she's seen. She doesn't recognize, she didn't really know how serious everything was until she sees it. But I don't know. I feel that they just were spending too much time. It could have been a little bit tighter. So I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was strong as the other ones. Sorry.
I kind of feel the same way, actually. To just kind of echo it, I'll just do mine right now here. I feel like this movie is way too slow. They let everything just kind of play out a little bit, and it takes way too long to get to some of the plot points and some of the stuff that happens. And I feel like they probably did that to kind of leave the fourth film to be the way it was, which, we'll talk about that in a little bit here, but
More action.
More action, kind of different film, but they really just take the Hunger Games part of it out of this, right? So the two previous films had like an arena and stuff that happens, and you don't get that feel in this. And while they don't have an arena in the fourth one, they kind of bring that back still in a different way. And I was kind of missing that in this one, I guess. There is a lot of prop points that kind of come through, but I just feel like everything just took forever to do. So, so I kind of just echo what Nabil said. James, how'd you feel about it?
I actually agree with you guys. This is probably the one that I like the least. I will say though, reminiscent of like the last Harry Potter book, like where they don't go back to every Harry Potter book is structured in a way where everybody meets up and they go back to school together and they, so on and so forth. The last book is the one that's entirely different. This book is very much kind of the same, where like it's not set up like the other two previous books where they come back, do a little show with Flickerman and go fucking into the games. So that is something that is, I didn't mind that. I do like the new characters, but once again, I think this could have been one movie, really, man. They could have tightened it up. They could have put both parts together to make just a long ass fucking 3-hour movie, maybe. I don't know.
3-hour movie.
2.5. Even they could have even done it, but I agree with Marco though. They do draw it out and set up. It does. Without this movie, I don't think we'd get the payoff that we get in the next movie. Is what what I agree with. So overall, though, not a lot happens in this movie. Like, truthfully, like I get it. Like they're shooting propaganda. We keep seeing fucking PETA looking worse and worse and everything. It's almost kind of hilarious. No offense to him. Like every time you see, like, God damn, man, he's looking bad. He's like,
just to add to that too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I remember when we first saw it, because the graphics were, I guess, new to me, but I was like, he's really like losing weight really quickly.
No,
like,
it's CG. It's CG.
Yeah, I realized afterwards it's all CG, but
he did lose. This time, I was like, he did lose some weight for like later, I think, or something like that. Like he did drop some weight though.
In the I think in the next film, it's more apparent.
Yeah, but in this one, it's CG. But
yeah.
Oh, once again, the Bill flexing is like, I couldn't tell unless my 4K hitting at full max. Need that 4K HDR. You notice it. Oh my god,
Dolby Vision, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we kind of touched on the story, kind of the lack of, I guess, a story on this one here. So how about we get into some characters then? What did you guys think of the returning or the actual characters here? We'll start with Nabil.
Well, I liked seeing Mahershala Ali. They don't give him much as Boggs to do, but just his presence is always great. So
he's really cool,
killing it every time. Yeah, he's just a cool guy, just being there.
I'd like to kick it with him.
Alma Coyne, she's fine. I saw when I was watching it, I was like, I don't know if I trust her much. We'll see where this goes. But I really like
again. We got the plot from 10 years.
Yeah, I did. I was like, what's going on here?
I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to trust her or not. What's going on here?
But I do like Plutarch again, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like his involvement over here, he's really, he's still, I think they reference it like he's still playing as the game maker, and he's doing a great job of just moving. He's like what's moving this plot forward, in my opinion, as we're watching it and things are going on. Like he's kind of making the decision, saying, you should let her do her thing. She's put her out in the field. She'll figure it out. It's going to be great, and like letting these things happen. So I love Philip Seymour.
I thought of his character from Mission Impossible 3. Just the way that he talks. I know it's just like you're like so direct and like with a lot of authority. I was like, I like you, man. So
yeah,
that's all.
It's like you're doing great.
Screen presence, man. It's all about screen presence.
Yes. Jennifer Lawrence was good. I liked her emotional scenes. I think it was very clear she was comfortable with the role, even more so in this film because she was good at playing the duality of like, I don't want to be a part of this. I just want to be done with all this. And then when she was out in the field and seeing it, she's like, I'm going to inspire hope, not because she was trying to, but because she felt the pain. And I felt that with her. So I felt even to some extent inspired when she was doing some of the propos. I was like,
Bill
okay,
was doing the fucking hand thing. He was just like,
I was like, I'm with you. I'm with you.
With
I'm
the
joining
whistle.
the rebellion. Yeah.
Except he can't whistle, so it's
you know me too well. You know me too well, Marco. I was like, I was like, I'm the Mockingjay too.
oh, shit.
I really
All right, well, Marco, I saw you shaking your head at Nabil as in an agreement gesture. So, do you want to elaborate, or do you have anything else on the story that you want to mention since you liked it a little bit more than we did?
I like the propos, man. I know as a lot of it like is mainly like politics is what they discuss, and that's what slows things down. But I kind of like that. My taste has changed over the years, so it's nice to see like what the rebellion is planning, and the fact that they're weaponizing the state's own main weapon against them, which is propaganda, because it fucking works for both sides, and they realize that it'll help them, especially right now, rally more people on Katniss Everdeen's side, especially with the type of society they established where they watch these propos from Panem, or they watch these shows that are like very sensationalist, and they're like, this is how we're gonna get people on our side and get them to fight against Snow and all his cronies. And I like you get in there with them, and Katniss's tug of war with like what she wants to do. She doesn't want to be the center of rebellion because they don't really say how old she is. I want to assume she's very young, so it makes sense that she's struggling.
Like
she's 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense that she's struggling with the weight of all this, that they want to make her like the symbol of rebellion, while at the same time all she wants to do is rescue someone that she fucking cares about. And it's like, dude, like anybody stuck in that situation would have those feelings of being torn apart. And at first I didn't like her character in this movie until I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, wait a minute, hold up.
Marco's
I
like,
get what they were trying to do.
Just call me. I'll be right there.
Because even at this point, I was just like, does she really like care about him, or is this like what's going on here? Or does she just feel bad? But no, it's like she really does care about this dude, and it shows. And she's like Nabil said, she ends up seeing the destruction that's going around her, and starts to see like how really messed up things are, and the shit that they hide from everyone else. Like, they blow up, buildings, they blew up the fucking hospital in front of her.
She technically was the one to kill the hospital, but it's they were gonna get shooted anyways. But whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say this much too. I think she's very reluctant overall still, Marco, like overall, because she's still ultimately, doesn't want to take Peter, but she also just wants to get away from all this too, which is evident by the ending. Eventually, we'll get to it, but something that's to keep in mind that she kind of already, you kind of see a lot of like little threads of it happening in this one. Like she's like,
which although
be done.
Which although as annoying as it is that she does that, like, because we're all seeing the big picture, it's like it makes sense from a human standpoint. Like someone exactly, dude, exactly, and she's still traumatized from the games too. So
yeah, I mean, surviving that is enough for a person to be done with it forever, right? So
yep,
I agree.
Well, James, did you have anything else here, since you were just kind of tapping in right there? But did you have anything else with the characters?
I mean, if anything, the only thing I would want to bring up is I can't stand Julianne Moore, and Nabil knows that, so that's all.
Is it bad that when I just
was it because of the Lost World?
Did you know immediately, Nabil?
Yeah, I was thinking, it's like, is he just fast forwarding? I bet you he's just skipping forward. He's like, I don't need to.
I don't know. I just have something with Julianne Moore. It just a little bit of Lost World, Marco, maybe.
Yeah.
It's my lucky backpack. Then fucking fix it. So I guess since '97, I've held a grudge against this bitch. So I don't know. And I guess her name coin shows that she's kind of two-faced. It's very heavy.
Ooh, I didn't put that together. That's really good.
That's all. But I can't stand her.
Well, I kind of feel I kind of feel like Marco did as far as like the whole like it. I like this movie because it kind of progresses Katniss and her story, and like you do get to feel a little bit more emotional in how she builds across the movie, and you kind of relate to some of the stuff that can happen, or you can relate to it.
I will say this though, Mikey. What about this? Ends pretty abruptly as well. By the way.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's one of the things I didn't like about this one too. But that being said, it says part 1 in it, so I'm expecting it to be like a 2-part movie, right? So I don't mind it as much. So along those lines here, just kind of touch on the ending here to elaborate a little bit more. Is since this movie was slower, I kind of didn't mind it, I guess, as much as some of the other things here. So it kind of just like everything in the movie was gradual. So it just kind of led into this big climax, and there was nothing else really to do after that. They had to cut it there, in my opinion. So a little different on this one here than the other one.
No,
not only that, yeah. I didn't like it still, but
it's like the book doesn't stop there. The book continues.
Yeah. So with that said here, what do you guys think about this being a part 1, and how did you like the ending with PETA being rescued and that kind of stuff here? And we'll start with James on this one here.
Like I kind of said, I don't know if it was necessary, but like I do agree with Marco though. It helps flesh out what happens in part 2. Ending's cool. That like I like that whole kind of like Rainbow Six kind of like mission where they just go down and like we gotta save these motherfuckers, and it's Mahershala Ali. I was like, how cool. And it's all in the darkness. I thought that was a cool sequence. And then PETA coming back, that's kind of like shocking. I remember like jumping when that happened, when he like, you think it's just normal, but it like something's a little off with him, like
you get Matrix vibes.
No, I'm getting Marco vibes again. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I was like, he scares me. I don't want any of my family members around this guy. So, and then he just like lurches out. It reminded me a little bit of like the Lord of the Rings, where like Bilbo in the original one, like he's like, "Do you still have the ring?" Then he turns like the demon face. I was like, "Whoa!" It scared me. So, and then she wakes up and she just like has these marks on her neck. It's fucking vicious, dude. So
her eyes had almost were bulging out. I mean,
what about you, Nabil? You have anything about the ending or this being the part 1?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the biggest. I mean, that was probably the most action too you're getting in this film. But that last scene was just intense, and like as we were talking about with Katniss's trauma, and like Marco was saying, the pain she was going through, that like last bit to really hone in on her feelings and being betrayed so viscerally that she almost like was killed by the person she cared for the most. Like I felt that. I was like, no, don't do it. What are you doing?
Nabil totally forgot the plot. That's why I was like, what's going on this
on
here? Nabil, you've already seen this movie.
But that's how I felt. Like the connection was completely gone at this point, and it's very evident. We'll talk about it in the next film. Like her feelings now is way more hesitant. She's like, nah, this I've been betrayed by this guy, and so she's that part of it, and then his anger towards her. It really was a good emotional scene, like that whole aspect, and I wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah, it was very shocking. Marco, anything to add?
Just that the whole rescue attempt and the leading up to it does take a little bit too long, and they probably could have sped that up. That's about it. But it is a pretty cool action sequence.
It looks cool though. Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, it does. It does, and it is kind of a nice little twist that PETA's all fucked up and brainwashed, and that they use them sort of as a mole to infiltrate the rebels. You sort of see it coming to a point, but it's still pretty cool, and like James said, it's pretty vicious.
No, I was going to say, once again, it's like a testament. I bring it up in each one we've looked at, but to Snow, like he knew he wasn't probably going to win this, but he's going to do everything he can to kill the representation of what this rebellion is, and so crushing her hope was turning PETA against him, and if he can take her out this way, then he might succeed. So he knows the the risks of what he's doing and the success rate of what's going to happen here, but he's trying to play the long game rather than trying to just do a quick victory with other military might. So Donald Sutherland doing a great job as a character and showing how evil he is.
Yeah, and I like that they actually they were talking to Snow when this was all happening, and he's like, he basically knows exactly what's going to happen. It's like, I let you in, basically. I'm letting you leave.
Oh my God, he's like, it's a tractor beam on the Millennium Falcon.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Yeah.
It was I that allowed the location of the shield generator.
Oh, your friends?
Everything is happening according to my design.
But let's go ahead and rate the film. And would you recommend it? And then the best thing or worst thing about the movie. We'll go ahead and start with Marco.
I give this one a 4-star. Shocker, I know, but the way it elevates the plot and the overarching story and theme, then I think it's worth it. Yeah, it's a little slower, but I kind of like the things that they go over, so it gets a bump in my book. I would definitely recommend it. I mean, if you've gone this far, you might as well keep going. So yeah.
I mean, why would you stop here?
Yeah.
Okay. James?
Yeah, I give this one a 3-star. Well, not my favorite. It's still it's not once again, if you're working your way through, it's just part of the movies. Everybody's got an episode 8 and 9, so I mean, this is it for me. So
Nabil?
I give this 3.5 stars. And I will say I disagree with Marco. I feel like it's not the elevated plot. It's a bit slower to me, a little too slow, and it could have been a much tighter film, even if it was a part 1. They could have tightened this up a bit more. But the scenes that do have some momentum to it, especially near the end, were really good, and they were really good for character growth. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I gave this one a 2.5. It's by far the one I didn't like the most. I mean, this is one of them that I thought they could have just merged it with the last film and been just fine. I didn't like how slow it was. I do like some of the scenes, like Nabil was just mentioning here. They are powerful. They are done well, but it just wasn't enough for me to really enjoy it. So.
All right. And on to the next movie in the series, The Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 2.
I've been watching you, and you watching me. My dear Miss Everdeen, make no mistake. The game is coming to its end.
For the first time in our lifetimes, we're standing together with 13 districts. Our future starts tomorrow at dawn, when we march together into the capital. To slow our advance, President Snow is building a minefield of traps. The sadistic inventions of game makers meant to make sport of our deaths.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 76th Hunger Game.
So the plot for Part 2 of Mockingjay is Katniss and a team of rebels from District 13 prepare for the final battle that will decide the fate of Panem. This is once again directed by Francis Lawrence, who did all the stuff we had mentioned previously, and written by Peter Craig and Danny Strong, who have also written the properties that we mentioned previously. Based once again on the book by Suzanne Collins, this one released November 20th, 2015. Had a budget of $160 million, so slightly higher than the last two. And a box office of $653.4 million, so success, but not quite as much as the previous installments.
Yeah, technically the made the least, so they kind of stopped making these for a while.
Oh, geez. Oh, no. All right, so once again, we're going to start off with our brief thoughts of the film and whether we liked it or we didn't. I think I will start with Nabil on this one.
It's the action version of Part 1. This one is like,
this is the one I was waiting for.
Bill's like, heard you were missing the action. Here you go.
Yeah. They're like, here, this is where all the fun stuff happens, and they put it into this film. It's good. I have some qualms with it too, but definitely like momentum. Things are moving forward. People are dying. Shit's getting wild. They got like weird zombie mutt things going on. I don't know what that's about, but it was some intense, scary scenes. Yeah, I think Mikey had brought up in the review of the first one. They kind of had some kind of Hunger Games-esque thing going on at the end, like a lot of action, a lot of fun, but you also don't get a lot of the character time in this one. They try to slow things down a little bit in the middle, but
you don't need it, Nabil. You already had 3 other movies.
That's right. Let's go.
There was no action in the last one. Now you're bitching there's no character.
Put it in here. But yeah, it's a lot of a lot of action in this one for sure.
Yeah, I feel it. All right. Mikey, what about you? What were your thoughts of Mockingjay Part 2?
A lot of the same. I mean, it is a lot of action here, but I do like.
All right, hey James. No, just kidding. Sorry,
my boy Finnick dies.
Yeah, I mean, so they had some pretty powerful deaths. I think even Marshall Ali's like his death is kind of like there's like a key element to it, right? He passes the strength of the item to.
I was mad he was killed. I forgot about that too.
What did he tell her? He said, "Don't trust that white woman." And he died.
I thought he said, "Earn this."
My friend.
So, but I do like that they brought the Hunger Games-esque stuff back. I feel like I missed it in the third one, especially after you watch the 2 first ones. It kind of just feels disjointed, not having those kind of things in it. And they did it in a way where like it still kind of fit the plot and what they were trying to do. So they didn't have to have an arena. They could just have the same kind of elements.
You mean life?
And weaponize it. Yeah.
It was so human. Like, yeah.
Gee.
That's how I felt.
I do agree that
he was less wolf in this one as well.
What about you, James? What were your thoughts of Mockingjay Part 2?
It's a strong finish, I think, for the series. I like you guys already brought up, it's a lot of action. There's some pretty notable deaths in this one, which is crazy. But overall, I think this is like a return to form for me. I enjoyed this one.
Right on. Mikey, what were your thoughts of the cast from the previous movie returning? So your thoughts of Katniss and PETA?
Yeah, I liked Katniss in her place now. She's kind of taking ownership and kind of leading people now. So it's a little bit better there. She kind of fights a little bit harder in this one in terms of like just like how she's handling the whole situation. Although Josh Hutcherson, I didn't like his character as much because like he keeps going like in and out of like the brainwashing thing they did in the third one, and it kind of just didn't feel right to me somehow.
Damn,
and I know that was probably to like
I miss the old Peter.
No, but it's probably to help with Jennifer Lawrence's character Katniss to kind of bring that love connection because she kisses him a couple times to like bring him out of the thing, right? So I kind of get what they were trying to do with it, but it just, in my opinion, didn't work out too well. But the key notable things, I mean, like James was just saying, there's a lot of like just notable deaths. I mean, her sister and like Gail's reveal of what happened at the end there. That all those kind of things kind of made you. I mean, it kind of made you like the characters a little bit more and progress the story just along.
Some of them a little less, right?
Yeah.
How so, James? What are some of the characters you like a little bit less?
Well, Gail, we find out it's a piece of shit. It's kind of, I was talking to Mikey about it. It's kind of hinted throughout the movies that like Gail is not like the greatest guy, but it's kind of hidden behind his good looks, I guess. I don't know. Like I think was it this movie, the one before where they're talking about civilians and like if they have to die, they have to die. I'm like, God damn, Gail.
Like it seems like he means well, but also he doesn't know what terrible shit he really means.
This is kind of fucked up, but I also thought, I was like, I don't think Gail's like the smartest guy too. Maybe he's just a little direct.
I think he lets the whole situation.
I mean, kind of. He just sees the end and he feels like the end whatever justifies the means there.
Yeah, whatever they have to do, right? They'll do it, which is a very
Snow-like thing.
It does sound fucked up, but the way he sees it is this is their only chance, and if they don't succeed here, they will not get another chance. And he's basically saying I'm okay to live with a little blood and pay the price for it in the end if it means that everyone else will be free. And it kind of which is fucked up, but
yeah,
it is really their last chance.
I
guess, to do this,
but I will say that he takes it pretty extreme. I guess he's
not as extreme as someone else.
Well, he is the decision. I don't know if you guys like got this, but like the whole design of the drone like bombing thing is like that's Gale's
That's his
decision.
Yeah,
Gale designed that actually, so he ultimately is like ashamed of himself because it leads to the death of Katniss's sister and the death of hundreds of children. Like it's insane. Like it's and that he kind of lies to her at the end, which is like once again as we know with women, boys, not a good look. So as soon as he can't really tell her like, oh, did he know or not, he kind of pulls fucking remind me of Killers of Flower Moon a little bit, guys, with the fucking question at the end, right?
Yeah,
and he can't like truthfully answer it, and she's just like, and then as soon as that happened, I was like, checkmate.
Well, honestly, doesn't Snow like reveal it to her? Like he's like, I didn't do that shit. That was your team. So he kind of points her in the right direction. So it's kind of crafty on his part again. I mean, just going back to Snow. I mean, he's always been crafty, and
Snow was just Snow did the fucking OJ glove look. He's like, it don't fit, baby. It don't fit.
Let's talk about that a little. Nabil, what were your thoughts on the little twist that Snow actually wasn't the one who had the final blow in the end?
I mean, it just like Mike was just saying, like Snow knew where the writing was on the wall. He knew what was happening.
Question, actually, Nabil, did you remember it?
That it wasn't.
Or was this
Snow's
an early new plot point to you? Like, my God,
no, I didn't.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I did.
His garden didn't look like that in the first one.
Thought of this, I was like, you've known this for over a decade, Nabil.
The twist wasn't that big of a twist for me this time. Okay. But the first time, though, yeah, sure. It wasn't as obvious to me.
2015, Nabil probably says something like, say swear when it happened.
Not coin. No, what? Yeah, Snow's whole thing was just, I think also that he was just, he's tired. They show him more tired and older, and he's just like, obviously with the coughing up the blood, he's dying. So he just was trying to hold on to what little he could, but he was running it on his own. He didn't have anybody around him, kind of what's her name? I don't remember the lady that was kind of like his side person working with him. Nobody had anything to offer to him. He was the one figuring this out, and saw everybody just failing around him. Like he knew he lost the plot. So I wasn't surprised. What I did like, though, to that point at the end where he does reveal it to Katniss, when they're having that conversation together, you can see that he knows that she was unwittingly put into the situation of kind of being manipulated, but also looked at it as like she didn't kind of telling her how she didn't realize what was happening, but was an inspiration to everybody. And he kind of looked at her almost as an equal of like, well done, even though you had no idea what was going on. Like, we've been playing this game and I thought I'd win, but obviously, you won.
He has respect for his adversary at that point, which actually is kind of surprising for his character, really, to a point. But yeah, no, I agree there. I'm sure James will probably enjoy answering this, but
present coin.
Yeah, what did you suspect like her like how she really? Well, obviously you read the book, but how did you feel overall of her death? And
I thought it shows you that. I mean, the fact that she's bringing up like the whole point, like let's bring back the fucking Hunger Games. It's just like history repeats itself. Obviously, it's a play on that, and it's like Katniss only agrees because she knows that she's not really going to roll with it, but everybody else is like, like Joanna is just caught up in revenge of being tortured and shit, and she's like, of course they want to do it. Annie obviously says, "Oh, does Annie say yes or no?" I don't remember that. No. She says no, right? By the way, I gotta mention, Finnick's death is brutal as fuck. By the way, and he saves everybody.
It was really sad.
And I remember even when I read that, I was like, "Damn, that sucks."
Yeah, I think that was a really. I mean, as weird as you can say it, but it was a really well
because we even see their wedding and shit. It's like, oh, that's cute. They get married, and then
it was a good connection.
No. Back to Coin though. I just love that she just nails her, dude.
Yeah,
dude, she does a combo breaker on her. It's just like fucking bullseye. So she just gets rid of it. She does the best thing she thinks she can do, and then I mean, literally, we don't see the death of Snow, but like the crowd tears him apart. Apparently,
I mean, he starts coughing blood like towards the end. It looks so.
Shit, that's a typical Tuesday
what his
for
fate
Mikey,
is.
fuck. So I don't know.
Well, Snow had some kind of like he ate poison or something a long time ago, right? And he was slowly killing him. I remember reading something like that. But
Finnick brings it up that because
right?
he would drink poison and then just to show people like, oh, the drink's fine, but then he'd be killing the person, but then he'd take antidotes, but it doesn't fully cure him, so he had sores in his mouth and shit. And
I didn't know that. Okay.
Finnick literally says this.
Does it say in the movie?
Yeah, Finnick is getting interviewed while they are in the first part 1 where the Finnick is talking and they're using that time to say Peeta and Johanna. You guys didn't listen to what Finnick was saying?
No.
I must have fell asleep or some shit.
I don't know, man. Yeah, that's what he's talking about, dude.
I'll see myself out now.
Like he said, I've now changed it to 3 stars. I'm sorry, Marco.
Jesus Christ.
I'm ashamed of myself. My God. But yeah, that's why. And he's, he's getting surrounded by people at the end. I can only imagine they killed him, I'm assuming. So.
Totally. Well, yeah, they let the people have him, which is kind of reminiscent to like quite a few realistic revolutions. Right?
I thought of the Italian
Italian
Revolution, or
what
they did to like Mussolini and shit. So I was like,
oh,
this is crazy.
But no, I do like how Katniss she sees kind of like what James is saying, that history repeats itself unless you do something to change the patterns in history, and she does just that. And she ends that pattern and has to take a drastic measure in order to do it. And I was surprised the movie actually did that. I was like, oh shit, I didn't think it'd go there. I thought it was just gonna end like, well, we're just gonna repeat this and we're just gonna fucking change it up and call it a different game. We're gonna call it
the side of the coin.
The other games. No, but I like that too, and I like that Katniss is willing to take that shot, regardless, and live with the consequences from that. Yeah. But it pays off. And so, Mikey, what do you think about Katniss and Peeta's ending overall? Did you buy their love?
Yeah, by the end of these movies, yeah, I actually do. I didn't. Like I said it earlier when we were going over the other movies here. I didn't really get it then, but by the end of these movies, I think they do play it out pretty well. I do think it's like kind of funny also that they kind of live the life of what Gale was saying in the first movie. He's like, let's just live out in these mountains by themselves. And like these two people are literally doing that, raising a family out in the cuts. So I thought that was kind of good though. But yeah, I do believe their love, and they actually feel like they're kind of raising a family in a nice area instead of, District 12 or, some read up place.
I think they're away from it all. Like that's the whole thing. They've gone through so much shit. And, I like that they kept this ending. There's a rumor that they were going to change the ending because like a lot of people didn't want this ending to happen. But I like that it's kind of like a bittersweet ending at the end where they kind of they have a family now. But it's kind of like Peeta's the only one that really came back. That's why.
Yeah,
like but Gale didn't come back.
Have to and they have to also they have to also deal with the trauma that they endured. And she even mentions that at the end that it's like they have their happy ending, but they paid a heavy price for it.
Oh,
and it shows for a lot of good things.
Yeah.
A lot of good things and good victories like come at a heavy price.
Yeah, and then he's planting the primrose at the end. He's like, and then I was like, damn, my boy, you get it. Damn. You're taking the book out of Marco's book? Hold on here. Somebody throw you an alley-oop? You and Kobe out there playing b-ball? God damn.
Anything else you guys want to mention about the plot or the action before we get to our rating?
I do want to bring up the fact that, yes, Philip Seymour Hoffman died during the filming of this. So, like, near the end, that's, like, early CG for, like, having him fully in a couple of the scenes, like, where he's not talking. That's all fully CG. So they had to use, like, some technology. They pulled it off. And then, obviously, the scene where...
They use scenes from Boogie Nights.
Yeah, there you go. With a little cutoff shirt, a little tiny-ass shirt. The scenes where Haymitch is reading the letter, that was supposed to be a full, like, Plutarch says that in the book, too. It's not a letter being written, obviously, but, I mean, you get it. So, it works, though. But it is seen that it does suck we don't get that final little performance by him. I'll say that much.
All right, so let's get into our ratings and if we'd recommend this film. I'm going to go ahead and go backwards this time and start with BDJ here. What's your rating of Mockingjay Part 2, and would you recommend it?
Yeah, mine's a 4-star for this one. I recommend it. I think it's a solid ending for the original film/books, basically, because I think it's a very faithful adaptation of the books. So I like it. It's very bittersweet. It is not one of those ones where, although a very hopeful ending, and I wouldn't mind seeing. We'll talk about it later, a little bit more of it, but I enjoyed it.
Nice. Real quick. What's the best thing and worst thing of this movie?
Best thing I'm going to say is nonstop action. There's a lot of action, like Nabil said. He's gripping himself hard.
This dude.
There's some cool ass scenes where it's just like, holy shit! Like especially the sewer scene. That scene's awesome, man. There's these fucking faceless fucking creature things that are. I mean, now that you guys have seen the prequels, you kind of understand where some of these things are coming from. I think that's awesome. I think the worst thing is just the I don't know. It's just really long too. I guess I don't know. These are all fucking long. All these fucking movies. Right. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, that's truthfully what it comes down to. And then she didn't need to yell at the cat. I thought that was a little fucked up. So,
Jesus. Oh my God.
Sorry, I'm just picking silly things for it.
Yeah.
But she does yell at that cat, though. She's dead.
She does.
Okay, J-Law, we fucking get it. Cat didn't do nothing.
No more ugly crying.
But your name is Katniss, and he's a cat. So.
Jesus.
Meow.
Mikey, what do you rate this movie? Would you recommend it? Also, best thing, worst thing about it?
So I get this one 3 stars. I didn't like it as much as the first 2, so I kind of rated it a little lower. I do still recommend it. Obviously, if you've seen the previous 3, you kind of have to watch this one to finish it all off.
No, you don't.
I mean, you kind of do.
You're on a cliffhanger.
You're like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, best thing about this movie is, as James was saying, the action. I actually like the goo stuff, the black goo stuff, and it was like someone gets captured in it, and like the ropes come and like hang him up and shit. That was like that was wild, awesome. Right? So I like that kind of stuff here that they did with it. The sewer scene was awesome, as we've already mentioned here. Yeah. Worst thing is, I just feel like the third and the fourth movie could have been one movie. I think it would have completed both of them, because you get the action side with one, you get the story side with the other. I think if they meshed those two together, it would have been a little bit better overall, even if it was a little bit longer film. So,
all right. Makes sense. On to you, Mr. Nabil. What do you rate this movie? Would you recommend it? And best thing, worst thing?
3.5 stars. Now you don't need to watch this film. It's fine. We don't recommend it. I'm just kidding. Of course. Why else are you watching the series? Best thing. I actually really like the ending. I like the closure of all the characters. They did do a good job of wrapping everybody's story up in a good way and giving that time to breathe with everything. So I enjoyed that. Worst thing, kind of what James said, it's just you can tighten the runtime a bit. There's a little bit of just like, we got to follow this map, and which direction do we go here, and we're going to sit down and talk about this map, and like it's okay, so they could have tightened that up a bit, but that's just a small critique.
All right, well, I rate this one 4 stars. Also, I really enjoyed this one. I felt that obviously I'd recommend it. You finished the fucking series, damn it. Or if you've gone this far, you might as well. But I feel like, again, it touches well on the themes, on the cost of a true revolution and true change. That it's not, pretty, and often, it's going to take, heavy casualties too. And it's going to, come at an ultimate price. I do like the game type weapons that they use. So like Mikey mentioned, the black oil goo, the mutants, how when the black goo comes in, like the whole like area sort of closes them out. And I would say that probably the best part about this movie is the way it surprises you, the way it subverts some of your expectations. Again, this is a really good way of doing it. Katniss taking that shot at the end at President Coin I felt was one of them. I didn't think they'd do it, honestly. I mean, if you read the book, you probably did, but I'm uncivilized, so what are you gonna do? Worst part is, I would say, the pacing at some points, the whole joining the unit and getting your gear and all that. I felt they could have sped that up a little bit. I felt like that's really where it slows down. Everything else is kind of nonstop action, and it captures you to the screen. So. That concludes our review of The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2.
Let's move on now to a final review now of the newest Hunger Games film, which is actually the earliest Hunger Games film in the chronological order. The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Mr. Snow, after everything you've seen out there in the world, What are the Hunger Games for?
Are you coming to the tree?
The Hunger Games, they're to punish the districts. Those tributes don't have a choice.
Your role is to turn these children into spectacles, not survivors.
So we both be free.
We're live! Smile. It's why we have teeth.
Imagine it was your name that they pulled.
Strange things do happen here.
I just want to know that somebody still cared about me, that I was still of value.
Welcome to the Capitol.
You look like you shouldn't be here.
I shouldn't, but I'm your mentor.
A rebel.
I am gonna get you out of here.
If you want to protect people, then it's essential to accept what human beings are and what it takes to control them. Let's see you use that famous snow charm.
The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is sitting actually at a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. Coriolanus Snow mentors and develops feelings for the female District 12 tribute during the 10th Hunger Games. Francis Lawrence returns to direct this. This is also written by Michael Leslie, who did Macbeth in 2015 and Assassin's Creed in 2016, as well as Michael Arndt returning to co-write as well. Based on the book by Suzanne Collins, this was released on November 17th, 2023, with a budget of $100 million. I'm not sure what it's sitting at right now, but I think it's doing okay. This stars Tom Blythe as Coriolanus Snow, Rachel Ziegler as Lucy Gray Baird, Josh Andres Rivera as Sejanus Plinth, Hunter Schafer as Tiger Snow, Peter Dinklage as Casca Highbottom, Jason Schwartzman as Lucretius Lucky Flickerman, and Viola Davis as Dr. Volume Nia Gal. Just Dr. Gal. I don't think they ever mentioned her first name for the most part. Let's get into this here. I want to ask you, Mikey, not a big fan of it overall. What did you think about this film?
I like this one. I like that you kind of see the progression of the games or how it was before the games got to where it was at. So I kind of liked, you could kind of see this was how it was like developed. And also you got to see a lot about Snow, obviously being one of the main characters. You got to see kind of where he starts. And I think they do a pretty decent job kind of portraying like how he got to where he's at. So I liked it overall.
Nice. What about you, Nabil?
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I do have a little bit of a qualm with, compared to the other films, I feel like this actually would have done better with a two-parter. And that's only because I enjoyed the characters so much that I wanted to see more of spending time with them, of this transition with Snow and his girl Baird, Lucy Gray Baird. So I don't know. I enjoyed it though. I like where we're going with it. I like I didn't think I'd like the whole songbird part of it, but actually it grew on me. And I really kind of liked where they were going with Snow in this. So it was a really good character story.
Cool. Marco, what about you? What did you think?
I really like this one, man. I didn't know really what to expect. Again, I'm uncivilized, so I didn't read the book. James is just giving me a very fucking judgmental look right now, and I don't even want to read.
I'm not even looking at this motherfucker. Fuck you.
What he just texted me right now, because
I do not want to repeat what's on this text.
I would get banned. So it was a quite pleasant surprise, man. I liked, again, what these guys were saying, the genesis and origin of Snow, and also of the Hunger Games. Again, this movie also expands more on the lore of Panem and its history and how it got to be this fascist dictatorship. And yeah, I was pretty captured by this movie from the get-go. Great cast, great acting.
Yeah, I really like this movie too, guys. I've like I said, I read the book about a year ago, and I remember finding out that they were making the movie.
Fuck, dude.
God, we get it. Shut the fuck up already. We get it. You read. Great. Great book though, man. On top of that too, just to let you know, if you liked it, Nabil, you might. Truthfully, the book even expands more, so you might want to even read it.
He bought it for you, Nabil. He bought it for you.
Check your phone.
It's in the mail.
Yeah, the movie's great, man. Once again, fucking knockout fucking cast, dude. I don't know who does the casting for these fucking movies, but man, give them a little pat on the back. I like that it's a prequel. It has some fan service where, you know, little Easter eggs, as you may say, you know, like there's a couple times I did the Leonardo DiCaprio whistle at the but you know I can't whistle, so it was it was like that part's a Easter egg, Mikey. And he's like, hey bro, you're really kind of annoying the people behind you. I was like, sorry. Then I turned around, I can't whistle.
Very loudly.
Yeah, loudly enough so they'd hear me over the IMAX because it was blowing my fucking ears out during that movie. Sorry. They're like, what? Anyways, I like that I love the fact that it's set and we get more of snow, which is cool. It's a little like it's a character piece. The whole thing. It's like we see the starts of why he is the person he is, and like it actually, I think this movie strengthens his characters for me when I think back for the other 4 movies to see like about like what a lot of his quotes are, especially with the way that this ends. I thought it hits like the right note. I was like, God damn, that's a hitter. So I think it works really well in that way. So it just all clicked together. And I think there's just even like Viola Davis, I think steals every scene she's in. She's so fucking crazy. And I loved it. Because in the book, she's like super crazy. And I kept thinking, I was like, who's going to like get that energy? And I remember me and Mikey, like, dude, there's parts where she came in and I was like, holy fuck, she looks scary as fuck. So I was like, goddamn face just threw me off. And then she's wearing these latex gloves all the time. And it's just like gives you that icky feeling. I'm like,
mad scientist.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why, but I want to
James is wearing them right now.
yeah. Strangely enough, I just put my hands up. You know these ones. Where do you find red glossy latex gloves? Don't worry about it, Marco. We'll jump into characters more, but I mean, I've never seen Tom Blythe in anything, but Jesus Christ, that guy's really good. I was shocked by that. I was like, holy crap, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I'm glad they grabbed like an unknown actor for the role. I was like, damn.
Yeah. Has he been in other stuff? I haven't seen him in anything in it, I don't think.
I don't know. And then obviously Rachel Ziegler, we'll talk about her too, but I thought she did really good. Not to mention she can actually sing really fucking well, so it comes off as really cool. So let's get into the plot then. Like, did you like it? Was there anything that you enjoyed that we find out about Snow? Start with you, Marco.
He's way complicated, man. He's human after all.
There we go again. Nabil's little smirk there. A little smirk from Nabil.
Like, he's
less mongoose than I thought. Sorry, I've gone through 9 different creatures. None of them are guys. None of this joke is
I know
at all.
But no, but he's this character that's not necessarily well off, but away from the distraught in the districts, and he's caught between.
He's actually very poor and struggling.
Yeah, but he's poor, but he's not like district poor, not like Lucy Gray. So he's in that. He's this lower class that just can reach for the top, and he's trying to reach for that, and he's caught between trying to do like the right thing and also be there for his family and also be an upstanding citizen. And this complication, you kind of see how it's very easy for a person in that position to twist and do things that are just fucked up in order to get ahead. And I like that. He displayed like such a good imagery of that. I agree with Tom Blythe, just freaking blows it out of the water, man. I think he really captured the complication of Snow while also paying homage to Mr. Sutherland and his portrayal of Snow. So yeah, man, fucking great.
Yeah, I will say this much: while he is not district poor, he's very close to it. I don't know if they portray that enough in this film. Like in the beginning, there's literally scenes where they're looking at like the buffet in the beginning, and they're like, "Oh, are you hungry?" And he's lying to her, like, "Oh no, we had this for breakfast." He didn't. He's starving, literally starving. And that's why he sneaks food all the time. And like they talk about it in the book too, like he actually takes food from school and brings it back home because they literally can't afford food.
He represents like people in the world who are literally one paycheck away from poverty.
Yep. And
like
he's hiding it, and he hides it pretty well.
Exactly. Yep.
Except for Casca. obviously knows that he's lying. But what about you, Nabil? If I had something to say there.
No, I think it shows his motivation of wanting to be above it all, like showing people that he's smarter than they give him credit for, that he can. Just that opening scene, right, where it's him and his cousin out over there in the out in the world where during the war, and just people starving and what they have to kind of go through that. You could see that he was already struggling and it was living a harsh life, experiencing that, and is trying to be on the best at everything just so he could win that prize and get essentially the golden ticket. I mean, that's what it was. It's just
run home, Charlie. Run home. Don't speak to anyone.
Man. He has blonde hair like him too.
I really, really liked seeing that aspect of him because, like we were talking about in the other films, he's very calculated. He has really good insight of what people really want and what it is. He's just a smart guy and a very perceptive. And throughout this film, you're seeing him kind of apparently coming up with novel ideas and trying to find ways to make the games better. And that's all from him. Everybody else was ready to write it off or just do something, lean in harder on the despicableness of it all. So I love just what they were doing with him here.
So Janice even mentions at one point that he's very observant, that Snow is very observant.
Yeah.
Yes. And so Janice is interesting character, actually, played by Josh Andres Rivera, who was Rachel Ziegler's boyfriend in real life, by the way. He was also in West Side Story.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so Janus there. Let's jump into him, Mikey. What did you think about him? He's kind of like the outspoken guy. His father bought their wealth into the capital, so he's not as well liked, but he's supposedly, Coriolanus' friend and such like that. What did you think of his character? I know he drastically changes throughout the film. So much shit happens in this movie. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he is a friend, but he almost has like his own ideas and everything that he kind of takes over the friendship a little bit. Some stuff happens later on. I'm sure we'll get into it here at some point, but he almost has like this underlining, hatred, I guess is what I'll say, for the capital and stuff. Just maybe because of how he got his, got there. Like he kind of like ashamed of it almost.
Yeah. Exactly.
So like, and then that's kind of haunting him, right? So he's almost like looking for something to redeem that. Like, hey, what can I do to help out other people to kind of get to the same place I'm at, almost kind of thing. So he's a very complex character. I like the way he's portrayed it, and him and the relationship with Snow, it kind of develops pretty crazy. I mean, especially in the third act there. There's how it kind of plays out and how their friendship kind of twists a little bit. It's pretty brutal, actually. I mean, I don't want to get too much into it until we get into like spoilers or stuff. But
yeah, of course, we can wait on that.
But yeah, no, I liked his character though. It's really complex. Is a good way to put it.
Definitely. Nabil, what do you think about Lucy Gray, played by Rachel Ziegler?
I really liked her. When she started, and I'm going to assume that this is clear in the books, but when she started, she's coming up with this like country accent, and it was weird to me because I wasn't sure if that's what she was supposed to be. I didn't know if that was just like something she was making.
She's like as you might call them, Nabil, gypsy.
Yeah, she was that.
First thing
that's
I thought
what
of,
was very apparent.
I was like, Nabil,
yeah, she was a gypsy.
God.
But I really liked her. At first, I wasn't so sure because of the whole singing gimmick. I was like, "What are we doing here?" Like, I know that Rachel Ziegler can actually sing, and is this just
sings
her?
Really well too.
There's a contract, yeah. Or is this actually part of the character? But as we went through it, I was like, okay,
it's a character,
yeah. And the songs singing are very, specific to what's going on around her, and so I actually like that. It gave her that kind of unique flair of her personality and why she was standing out to everybody else over there. And I guess it leans in a bit to the showmanship too, and kind of helped deliver on why people would like her. So she did a really good job portraying her, just the complexity of what she was, of being scared to be in the Hunger Games, but also and like knowing that it was going to be a tough go for her, but also trying to like make the most out of the situation as best she could because she didn't know what the outcome was going to be. Like, that is the same thing like what Jennifer Lawrence did with Katniss. I think they worked on their what they knew worked for them and was able to portray that in a way where you feel like, yeah, okay, I can feel the human connection here and see that this is reality. So I thought she did a great job with her character.
I think it's really, the message is, there's a lot of imagery and such. Like she mentions that her singing calms snakes down and they don't attack her, right? And Coriolanus is the snake in this story, right? And her singing calms him down, but then eventually it kind of backfires, right? Yeah, so
that's the ballad.
Yeah, so that things happen. So it's kind of like, and it's throughout the movie, it's shown that perhaps maybe her singing does help to a point, like you said, and it's something that moves the plot along. And I think it's really well done. I love that it's actually broken up into 3 parts too. Just like I know it sounds like a broken right,
just like the book. Yeah.
But Marco, I want to jump to you real quick. Peter Dinklage showed up for this movie, and he's Casca Highbottom, an old friend of the Snows. And what did you think of him overall as a character? I know we don't get too much of him, but he's also like that once again in the book. But did that work for you? How Highbottom was kind of a dick to him because he sees through him.
He is, yeah. He sees through him and can't really say much as to why he does. But there's more to Highbottom than what we're seeing, and he makes it very, very obvious and very evident. And
we can jump to that in spoiler then. That's fine.
Yeah, you can tell that he's very not two-faced, but he's a man of many faces, and he has his own agendas. But I think Peter Dinklage played it very well, as someone. He like from his face value, he plays off as someone who just like takes no shit. His opinion is right, and you can kind of see like cracks through that persona and why he does that. But I think he was a great addition to the cast, and I think that his character, even though he's sprinkled throughout the movie, he's not really in the forefront. Very interesting, and kind of does help to a point create who Snow becomes.
Nice, yeah. He's definitely a step into that journey, I would say, as well. If anything,
James is also dressed like him right now. So
yeah, no, you see, once again, you're messing it up. I'm actually dressed up as his Cyrano character from the movie Cyrano that Mike and I watched. Get it right. The movie where Mike and I were laughing so much that we might have ruined someone's movie going experience during that film.
The thing is, he did change the size of the clothing.
It's a little tight. It's a little tight, and the little shoes are only fitting on 3 of my toes. So, guys, I do want to ask you then, going back to you, Mikey, I know you talked about the games evolving. Were you shocked that it was just literally like a fucking high school gymnasium? This is the Hunger Games. It's not very big.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like a single room compared to like at least like the last thing we saw
like
as far as Hunger Games
right?
go. Yeah, it's just like a single thing here, where like the second movie is the last Hunger Games we saw, and it's like this huge giant open area, and it's like, I mean, things don't work. Like I don't know, it's kind of a slight spoiler, I guess, but like they're sending water in and it like crashes, and so you can tell it's like very super new, like they didn't know how to do it yet, and then they have these things that are like instant delivery in like the older movies. So it's, they've come a long way, and I liked that they portrayed that here, and even like the whole like basis of the first or like the second act or the first act here is just like, how do we promote the games? Like they didn't even have, like, the viewership is lower, right? So they're trying to figure things out, and just how much they've crafted that over time. Because like back in the previous movies, they're like having game shows and TV shows, and they're like promoting it like flawlessly almost. I mean, they have designers and stuff coming out. So I thought they did a really well, they really portrayed it well. Like it's really like it's archaic version of like the one we saw before.
Speaking of the first two, I will go back to you, Nabil, because I know that you were a big Stanley Tucci fan of the original. I think we all were, because he's fucking great. What did you think of Jason Schwartzman being his father? This one, There's never like
supposed to be.
It's not verified, but it's supposed to be his dad. That's his dad. So
same last name, right? So
yeah. What did you think of his role? Did it work for you? Did you like that he adds some comedic relief that I think is needed in this film because it's pretty fucking dark. So
he did great. I think Jason Schwartzman was awesome as Lucky, and I loved his shtick with the magic, the little magic tricks that he was trying to do while also being the weatherman, and like this is all a new thing, and so it was him kind of transitioning into this host. I feel that I would have liked to see a little bit more of how he specifically just got that role. Just even a small throwaway line of him, being the weatherman and then suddenly being the guy hosting this for the first time would have been nice.
I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Especially, it was funny.
A scene where he's like, I need a drink when he sees the first death or something.
He's like,
I need a drink now. Like,
yeah. Like the lines was great. It was very deadpan, but also just it worked throughout the whole film.
Very Jason Schwartzman though, right?
Yes. I couldn't think of somebody else that would have been able to play it just as well.
I love when he cancels the reservations. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a little late. Do you have anything later on?" I'm like, "Oh, geez,
yeah, the hotel. Yes, the whole reservation."
I don't know. He's like, guys, once again, he's like, smile. That's why you have teeth. And then when they get out, they're like, I need you to get up. I need you to leave. He's like, sit up a little straighter, shit like that. I was like, damn.
That's a good point that you bring up because the audience he's really addressing is a room full of kids, and he's trying to tell them like, stop being children, be adults. This is what you need to do. We're live on camera. It's hilarious because he's talking to a bunch of children.
Yeah, definitely. Marco, I want one thing before we jump into the spoiler section. What was your thoughts? Since you've been doing this whole thing. Did you like how the games were simplified in this one? This 10th Hunger Games basically, and then you gradually saw how they implemented like the gifts from people that they send them like the water, and like Mikey said, it does not work all together. How they got the ratings up higher like that. Did that work for you?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're just showing the bare bones of it all and its initial genesis and how it evolved into what we end up seeing in the original Hunger Games movies. I like that. I like that it helps again this fucking government keep like the people in control and keep them with their freaking basic day-to-day shit, because at first it's losing its hype, its distraction value, and they little by little figure out a way to improve upon that and to get people literally bought into the game in order to keep the status quo in Panem. And I like that. I like how it shows where they get these ideas and they see like, oh, this helps our ratings, or if we do this will help people participate more with the games. Yep. And it's cleverly evil, and I like it. So it was cool to kind of see that.
Cool. Before we do jump into the spoiler section, I do want to get ratings from you guys and if you'd recommend it or not, because we're going to jump into some pretty crazy ratings here. And it's just like, I don't want to, the spoilers, and I don't want to ruin the movie for you because there are a few twists and turns to it, as Nabil would say. So let's start with you, Nabil. What would you rate this and would you recommend it?
I gave this a 3.5 stars out of 5, and I would definitely recommend this. I think this is a good entry point even to watch this film before going into the new ones, just to get an even more in-depth look of the character that you'd be battling against in the franchise.
Definitely. What about you, Marco?
Love this film. I give it 4.5 stars. I liked, the acting, the actors, the whole 3-part structure of it. I felt good. And the singing too, I felt really helped and made it stand out a little bit more. It's kind of like a quasi musical, and I like that. But it was also very fitting. So
I agree.
Would hands down recommend this one.
What about you, Mikey?
I give this one 4 stars. It's actually my favorite one out of all of them.
I can notice you took your shirt off for this. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like the progression you see with Snow and how you don't just see like he's just an evil person. He's more of just a driven person, and he's also street smart on top of just his like clever, like strategic person. So I just like the progression you kind of see with his character, and it's also just a good movie. It's written well. The 3-act kind of thing we've been talking about, it's structured well as. So I just overall just like this movie. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I give this one a 4. I really like this one a lot. I think it's super well acted. I like the structure of it. I think the only downside is super fucking long. Just like, like I think this is the longest one, but I get it because there's a lot of meat to this one. And I'm actually glad they didn't split it into two and they kept it as one. Like I felt like this structure is how they could have done Mockingjay Part 1 and 2, like if it would have been one movie, in my opinion. So stay tuned though. If you don't want to hear about spoiler section, skip ahead to what we're going to be doing next. But if you have already seen the film, want to know a little bit more, we're going to go over a few last things here. Stick around for a spoiler section. Coming right up. So, Marco, I want to start here with something with you. What did you think about that the movie doesn't actually end after the Hunger Games ends with Lucy Gray and they find out that Snow bringing that rat poison, baby? So he essentially gave an unfair advantage to Lucy, like giving her rat poison to kill a couple people, and then he also he had wiped her face previously down, so the snakes that came out of the trap did not affect her. Although once again, although CGI, I think that was a very awesome scene with her covered in snakes singing and shit. So, what did you think about that? How it actually moves into a whole nother story, really, where Snow has been forced to become like a enforcer, right? Or what are they? Peacemaker.
Yeah,
and he's
quote unquote peacemaker.
Yeah, he's assigned to District 12 with Sir Janus, but then they slowly realize that he's rekindling his love with Lucy Gray, but then also Sir Janus is going off and he's kind of starting like a rebellion. What did you think about that whole third act, I guess?
I loved it, dude. I liked how different that was from any of the Hunger movies. It goes well with the structure and how like the lead up to the games, and then the aftermath of those games. And I do agree with you also. This is probably how they could have planned, Mockingjay as well, and they probably learned from that too, and it shows.
I think so.
But it adds more depth to this movie, more to these characters. It helps with the whole creation of Snow, so to speak, and who he becomes. I like that it shows, that these characters end up facing, consequences for these, and it shows again. Every victory has a consequence, whether it's a positive or a negative consequence. You still have to face them. You see it from Snow's perspective and how he's forced to be a peacemaker to atone for what he did, and Lucy Gray, to a point, like she wins, but not really. She's still stuck in District 12. She's a winner of the games, but what good did that do her? She's still right back where she came from versus the other victors that we see later on in the games that have all these lavish riches and stuff could get away, etc. It establishes more of the tug of war between Snow and Sejanus, who's trying, I guess, to make a change, but he's taking half measures at every step, and it bites him in the fucking ass. It's like,
he's not quite ready yet. You know what I mean?
No.
I was telling Mike a lot of times too. We were watching it together, and I was like, damn, this kid's really fucking up.
His heart is in the right place, but it's like when he was like discovers like, wait, guns, wait, violence. I'm like, yeah, bro, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to ask the government, hey, you mind if you guys step down? Like, come on, bro. Yeah. And the fact that you see that
happen, I was like, you didn't?
Yeah, right. The fact that Snow is willing to do what Sejanus is unwilling to do, but in opposite. And I liked that compare and contrast. And it just, man, chef's kiss to that, dude. That's really what moved me over the edge of really loving this movie.
Maggie, I gotta fall back to you real quick. I remember you saying that the friendship between Sejanus and Coriolanus, it gets twisted here. What did you think about Snow betraying him by using the Jabberjay and recording him and sending it over to Dr. Gal?
Well, it's like a twofold move too, right? So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was alluding to. Is like Sir Janus is like doing stuff without knowing the consequence, right? Yeah, he's sloppy, right? It's almost like he's just not aware of like how things work in this district.
Exactly. What Marco said, exactly.
He's fumbling on it. Yeah, he's fumbling on these things here, and then Snow is he's got the awareness, he's got that street smarts where he kind of knows what's happening in these things. Plus, he comes from an area where he doesn't have money too, right? So he kind of gets it a little bit. So I think he can see that, and he does. I feel at least he does everything he can before it gets to that point. So he kind of gets into this place where he has to do something about Sir Janice, or he's also going to be dead as well, right? So and so he kind of gets pushed in this area where he's like, okay, well, I got to do what I do, and so he's, I think, clever enough because he knows who these Jabberjays are going to go to. He's saying, okay, well, not only can I get, take care of this issue that I have with Sir Janice, but he's also, Dr. Gall is going to see that he's clever as well. So I think it's like he's dual purpose on that. And it's really it really shows like how far he's come from the beginning, where he's just kind of reacting to things. And now he's trying to think forward. Right. So, and I like that, how it kind of progresses that way.
Definitely. Nabil, what do you think about then ultimately Snow leaves with Lucy Gray, right? And they go to the cabin, they find the guns that are missing, and kind of a chance of where like he also reveals, he kind of starts crumbling a little bit here. Like he reveals to Lucy Gray, like, oh yeah, 3 people's enough. He mentions that he killed 3 people, and she never knew about that he was behind Sir Janice's dying, basically. And ultimately she sees something in him finally, but it scares her, right? What did you think of that whole ending sequence of her kind of running away and Snow kind of turning on her?
This is where I think was kind of the weaker part of the film, and this is why I was mentioning earlier. Like I would have probably liked to see a 2-parter in this, and I like what they did here at the third part of the film, where they built up their relationship and how they were like really connecting and falling in love with each other. But the way the relationship dissolved happened really quickly. And I would have liked to see a bit more of like their fracturing over time before it got to this one thing, because she just kind of instantly didn't trust him, which I get it, because it's part of the build where she says that if I can trust you, then I will, I'm 100%. They mentioned so I know where that's mentioned, and they make it very clear, but it just does happen really quick, and that's fine. She goes away, but for him, he kind of also just he goes totally dark. Like without her, I guess because she's the anchor for him and she can tame him, that now he's on sheet, like he's just going to do whatever. And I felt like that. I would have liked to see that be a bit more gradual, of saying, you know what, I was burned. This isn't going to work anymore. I'm going to go and do what I wanted to do and go back to the capital and regain myself.
Do you think that, like, and you guys can answer, like, did she see something in him finally? Like, she seems genuinely scared of him, like, at that point, right?
I think she did. I think she was genuinely scared of him at that point, and I think she was a bit blinded by it. And I, like, what they went through during the Hunger Games, and then him being there, I think she just kind of put her blinders on and didn't see anything negative.
We get it, right?
It happens, and then she saw this one instance and didn't realize, oh wait, I shouldn't have trusted him as much as I did, and she flipped real quick with it. So,
what were you saying, Marco?
Oh, she sees who he really is.
Yeah,
she sees right through his facade, and it's like the
snake comes through, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy?
Like,
the last thing she tells him is like something like, "I'm gonna go and pick some Katniss," right? And it's like, damn, that word just triggers the fuck out of him now, doesn't it?
Yep.
And then, of course, I mean, she uses the Mockingjays in the forest to throw him off, and he can't find out where she is, and the Mockingjays throw off, apparently, I think he shoots her. She gets shot, but there's no, even in the book, you don't know if she survives or not, but the Suzanne Collins has said she's probably okay or something, but
I would think so, yeah.
It's just cool, like the little, like she does the Hanging Tree song, and that's the song that the District 12 people know about eventually one day too, and Jennifer Lawrence sings it, and it's just little connections like that. I do want to bring up one last thing before we end it here, guys, as well. Marco, going back to you, what did you think about Snow ultimately going back to the Capitol, becoming, I guess, technically Dr. Gall's apprentice? My God, right? And then, he's a full Anakin Skywalker fucking arc. Kicks in pretty hard here. And then, what did you think about him knowing that High Bottom would take I guess it's like a tranquilizer or whatever that he keeps taking?
Yeah.
Was that like a full turn for the character, you think, or
that was the final, this is who I am, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get what I want. And and advance myself up no matter what, no matter who I take down. And High Bottom freaking, belittled him and made him feel like shit. And he realized
you mentioned
that
earlier, Marco, that spoiler, like, because why High Bottom created the Hunger Games with Corleone's father,
right? And he finds out that High Bottom really, the whole point of High Bottom creating the games was just in a drunken stupor that he created that, and he really
like a
didn't
joke.
want to do it. Yeah, it was like a joke. And Snow's father took it too far. I was like, you know what? This is actually a really good idea. Fuck it. And High Bottom has been trying to sort of sabotage the games and make them stop. But Snow sees an opportunity and is like, you know what? I don't need you anymore. No one does. And because he realizes that High Bottom takes those tranquilizers in order to ease the pain and the disgust of his morbid creation, he fucking puts rat poison in that shit and kills him. I was like, fuck.
Fucking aced him,
and shows
bro.
what he's, yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you think it's also like High Bottom's also like the last person outside of his direct family that he lives with that knows about his past, right? So if he gets rid of them, he can pretty much just craft his own past going forward to kind of help his backstory and everything like that. So I think that's part of what, like, his thought process, because he's so calculated in everything that he does. So that might have something to do with it as well.
And then, I mean, for God's sake, Tigress, he has Tigress change into like a cat lady, for fuck's sake, that we see in part 2, by the way, of Mockingjay. So that's Tigress,
all these
by the way.
surgeries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's changed from that point. So it's like, obviously something happens to them, but she becomes an ally of the rebels. So it's kind of cool. Little connection too. You see her when she was normal. That's the marathon, guys. That was the Hunger Games. What did you guys think overall? Marco, you're the one that jumped into it without having watched it all. It seems like you actually enjoyed these movies.
Yeah, I did, man. I didn't think I would, but I'm pleasantly surprised. I would definitely recommend them. I think that they're, very relevant, to today, and are at the same time very entertaining, very well acted. Not always 100% perfect, but I think they're definitely worth the watch. And, something you can enjoy. I watched it with my family, which is also key. We went to go see the new one together too. So that added a little bit to it as well.
Would you want to see more though, Marco, of either Snow's story between now? Because I mean, there's still like what we're looking at
64 years,
65 years, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Would you want to see more of that? Would you want to see more maybe what happens to Katniss and the districts after the downfall of Snow, or
maybe kind of more in between to kind of see like more of the evolution, what really sparks like the rebellion too. But it's got to be done right. Like this was done really well. Like get this production crew, get these writers and put them together again to craft that, because they've done a phenomenal job.
Awesome. Thank you. Nabil, what about you? What were your thoughts overall rewatching this, and what did you think?
I really enjoyed watching these, especially back to back, going through them all. I felt a much bigger connection to what the story was overall, just going through this sequentially. And it, like Marco was saying, like they did a really great job with fleshing out these characters throughout all the films. Like I think that's the strongest suit of this movie franchise, was that you felt really in tune with what was going on. You felt a connection with them, and you were invested. A lot of these. Around this time, there's a lot of books being adapted to film, and I think they were losing that heart of what the book was about and getting invested in these characters to some extent.
Yeah.
And this one, you really felt connected to it, and I enjoyed that aspect of it.
I'll say this much: there's a lot of those young adult novels that came out around the time after Harry Potter and like this movie, and they try to copy it, and a lot of them failed like miserably.
Yeah.
There's a couple of decent ones, like I think the Maze Runner trilogy is really solid.
Maze Runner was good, yeah.
But like for every Maze Runner and every Hunger Game, there's like the Omen Divergent series never even got to finish. The Host, that one died. I mean, there's probably plenty more that we haven't even brought up. So, and just like I asked Marco, would you want more out of these, Bill? Would you want more of the Snow section, more of the future section?
I think, I definitely want to see a bit more of Snow, but I'd be interested in seeing Plutarch come back. He was a game maker before and he was returning. And so I would be interested to see that part of his life too. If we could talk a bit about what brought him into that and what turned him, and
how do you
maybe
notice
it was
it, right?
his relationship. Yeah. So that would be, I think, a great story. Even seeing a bit of like Haymitch's trauma through his Hunger Games and what happened to like all
really
that
cool
would be a really good story.
A prequel about Haymitch and how he actually won because he's the only other person from District 12 to ever win.
12 that survived, yeah. So I mean, there's definitely some places if you're going to go into a new set of franchise or Susan Collins going to write some more books that there's some characters I would love to see their pass on. I don't know if I want to see anything afterwards. So I think I liked how the series ended, and I think it's a good way to kind of leave it there and just build upon what kind of happened before.
That makes sense. What about you, Mikey?
No, I mean, I kind of echo. I mean, I was going to say Haymitch as well. As far as like if I had to pick another movie to come out, I would kind of focus on a single character, not necessarily one we've already focused on. I feel like Snow could still work, right? But we've already seen a lot of like how he's developed and like kind of got the mentorship. And we've already seen that too. End. So I feel like they could take another character though that we already know that we didn't get a lot of, even if it was like Senna and like how he became like this fashion icon, right, or something like that. I don't care who it is,
show or something. Yeah, I don't know if that would work.
I'm just saying. What I'm saying? Like,
let's see how Finnick won, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, something. I wouldn't mind a Finnick one. I wouldn't mind Haymitch. Haymitch would be my choice if I had to pick a character. That would be who I want more of.
How did Haymitch become a drunk?
Right? Well, I mean, right. No, but I feel like Haymitch is like really, they don't portray like how much he does behind the scenes to help them out in the games. It shows like very quick scenes here and there, but I feel like he does a lot in the back and they don't really portray it very well in the movies there. But I feel like you could really kind of expand on that character, and there's other characters around here that could do the same thing, like Finnick and the ones we've already mentioned, or Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. I think that all those are good choices. So that would where I would lean into if I was to choose what's going on next.
What did you think overall, though? I know you're not a big fan of it. Did this lighten it up a little bit with the overall for you, Mikey? Was it a better experience than you thought it would be?
It was actually better. I didn't go into it thinking I would like them, but as you saw with the scores, my scores weren't bad. I mean, I had the one movie that I scored a little bit lower, but they were all 3.5, 4s. So I did enjoy watching through them again. And I think watching the new one really lets you appreciate the Snow, especially
I think so too,
on the new ones here. So I really enjoyed the whole part. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
Yeah. Overall for me too, I actually really enjoyed rewatching these. Although I think a lot of them, they're just really long. I won't lie. I know Nabil agrees, but like some of these a little long, but nice in 4K. I agree too, Nabil. They look really nice. Quite a pop to them. A lot of nice little things, especially during action. And truthfully, I agree with you guys. I wouldn't mind some more spin-off things. I think there's a lot to this franchise and universe that's. I don't think I'm burned out of it yet, which is I'm trying to say basically. Like I'm not like burned out of it.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like I'm actually like you said, Nabil, with splitting up this movie into two, I almost kind of do want to just know a little bit more about Snow. Like I said, there's a lot of time though, Mikey. He could still be in it somehow, and we can see that. And I think it really comes down. I think I really like Tom Blythe as an actor, man. So
he did great.
I'm really looking forward to even more things, even though he's like an Eminem biopic. I don't know. He looks like him a little bit when his hair's dyed blonde, right? So with that being said, guys, that is the end of our Hunger Games marathon. So with that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening. Mikey, tell them how they can reach us.
Listen and follow us on your favorite podcast service. Trust us, we're on all of them. For a quick link to all of our socials, visit linktree/moviepalspod. That's Linktree. That's linktr.ee/moviepalspod. Thank you, and make sure to smash that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
Make sure to also stay tuned for our next episode number 163, where we will be reviewing Napoleon as well as Godzilla -1.
Thank you so much, Nabil. Until next time, this is James,
Marco,
Nabil,
and Mikey.
Have a great one.